Welcome to Quadcast episode 4. I'm your host, Joe Toll from ATV On Demand with my co-host, Jeff Henson from Dirt Wheels Magazine. Jeff, how are you?
Good. How's it going, guys? We've got a good show going on here today, Joe. Tell us a little bit about what we are in for.
Yeah, this show is going to be stacked. We're going to talk about new models from KO, Can-Am, Kahana, and Kawasaki. There's some new patent drawings out there from Yamaha. They keep updating stuff on that Sport 4x4 we've talked about. Yamaha Racing's going wild with the last run of the GNCC series from 2025 at Ironman Raceway. You and I were both there, and we're going to get into that with our special guest from Yamaha Motorsports, Scott Newby. But first,
you're going to say it. We have a new sponsor. Today's show is sponsored by ATVTires.com. They are a Midwest family-owned company, and they specialize in tires for ATVs and UTVs, including some hard-to-find tires like the Carlisle Turf Tamer. You three-wheeler guys out there that love these tires, they have these in the 8-inch rear sizes. Also, they have tires from CST, Duro, GBC, Whole Shot, ITP Whole Shots. They've got those, of course. Kinda Claws, Maxxis, Moose, and so many other brands, and it's really cool when you go to their website to see all of these different tires all in the same place, so you can select the ones that work correct, right for you, rather than going around to a bunch of different websites.
You can choose by manufacturer, you can choose by size, you can tell them what size you want, and it just whatever you're doing. Type of terrain. If you're racing TT, motocross, cross country, you're just trail riding, you want an oddball size for some vintage restoration project, if it's available, they probably have it. It's kind of a one-stop shop to see everything available for your ATV tire needs. And they can get a little discount, right, Jeff?
Yeah, if you when you go to their website, when you go to order, before you check out, make sure you type in Quadcast and use a hyphen, so quad-cast, and you'll get an extra 5% off your order.
Nice. That's not a lot of margin on tires, so any discount you can get on top of their already good prices is even better value. So check them out for your ATV tire needs, and that's enough a hot start. Let's get into Wide Open Wire.
Let's hit it.
All right, it's time for Wide Open Wire. We're going to get into the latest news and information in the ATV industry. We're going to start off with something that's kind of near and dear to Jeff and I. We have some updates on the KO A300 / Jackal 300. Now we're being told that the unit will be called the Storm 300, which sort of makes the Storm name something that carries through the KO lineup from their youth models to now their largest adult sport ATV, the Storm 300. That unit is going to be here in late December of 2025. So there'll be a number of people out there riding and racing on them next spring, hopefully. They have made a number of changes to that unit.
Changes suggested by us.
Changes suggested by you. Jeff had the chance to go out and ride it at a works race and wrote an article on Dirt Wheels.
Yeah, Glen Helen Raceway. Got to do the unclassified round with that machine. We were out there actually just to shoot it, and found out we couldn't use any of the tracks while the racing was going on, so we actually entered it in the unclassified race on Friday. And got some time on it. Got some good time on it in a variety of terrain.
And based upon your feedback, which you guys can see Jeff's feedback and his opinion of the machine, which is pretty promising. Go check out dirtwheelsmag.com. You can find the story on there. And based upon his feedback, they made a number of changes to the unit. The rear axle, when Jeff tested it, was 6 inches narrower than the front overall, 3 inches per side, which was kind of strange. Well, KO has remedied that. They're going to a +4 rear axle from what they had before, which means the back will still be 1 inch narrower per side in the rear. That setup should not be too far off the mark in stock condition, or if you want to switch to a narrower offset front wheel like a 4.1, you should be pretty well lined up, which means little to nothing out of the box. That bike should handle much better now. The radiator reservoir has been relocated a little further back than it was, I believe, originally, to give it a bit more protection, which the cross-country guys and trail riders will appreciate. And based upon your feelings about the shifter being a little short, I think the unit's going to be shipped with 2 different shifters. One for smaller feet, which was the guess what was on there when you wrote it, and they'll be coming with a longer one that you can install if you like to wear riding boots, which you should. And
Yeah, you know, the interesting thing is, and I have heard this brought up. I think it was by one of the guys at KO, but I wear a size 11 boot, and I didn't have any issue with the shifter. But it is nice that they are giving you that option, 2 different size shifters. Who else does that? Of course, we're talking
nobody.
about sport ATVs. We're talking about sport ATVs, so you only got, you know, a couple of choices there. But yeah, nobody does that. And I've talked about the shifting before. It is so buttery smooth and, you know, very quick click, very Japanese feeling. Very impressed with the transmission on that model. So,
And then the grab handles that were on the rear fenders on the original test unit and the old Jackal 200 that we reviewed last year, the grab handles are gone because we don't ride double in the United States on single seat ATVs, so they realized that that was not in line with our market standards, so they have removed them, and it looks much more the part without them. So yeah, that's exciting news on the
you forgot one thing though. They also added a new front bumper to it, a little
oh,
wider front bumper.
and that's actually a very big deal. Yeah, the original bumper was just kind of a little horseshoe. It was just a loop, and the new one actually looks like a legit cross country bumper that you won't necessarily want to switch out first thing for something that offers more protection because it is a little wider, and that's a good thing. So
Yeah,
a
makes the
number,
machine look better too, I think.
yeah, and no talk that I'm aware of a price increase. So KO has been responsive to the initial demands of the U.S. market before the machine has even gotten here. Hopefully, we get some time on them, come up with a few more little things that may or may not need tweaked. And if they're as responsive going forward as they have been, it's could be very exciting to have KO in the sport ATV marketplace starting late 2025, early 2026. Um,
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
But there's some more exciting stuff going on in the sport ATV market, isn't there, Jeff, from Yamaha?
Yeah, sport 4x4. You know, we've been talking about the patent drawings we've been seeing of this sport 4x4 ATV. Glad to report that we saw a new update on that in October. So they are still working on this machine. We're optimistic that we're going to see or hear something about production very soon. Just to give you some of the other details, it's got a little wider wheelbase. It looks like and bigger tires than the Yamaha Grizzly, the recreational model that's out there. It is a parallel twin cylinder. I believe what I've seen in the drawings is the 850 Wolverine motor. It could be 1,000cc, but I'd be very surprised to see 1,000cc machine coming from a Japanese manufacturer. But at the same time, I think the 850 is plenty for racing. I think that they are looking to take over the Renegade's dominance in the Pro 4x4 class at GNCC with this machine. I'm really looking forward to throwing a leg over this thing if and when it comes out. But yeah, it looks like they're still working on it. They're not telling us no.
Yeah, I think
So
I
looking
think
forward to
Can-Am
that.
would be as eager for a competitor in that sport 4x4 segment as Yamaha is for a competitor in the 450 sport quad segment. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
maybe these guys can sort of help each other out and give each other some people to race in both classes. It would be nice.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, and speaking of patent drawings we've seen recently, and this has been updated once or twice, Honda is working on a new youth model ATV. Some of you are not going to want to hear this, but it's electric. And I think this is a great thing. It looks about 90cc size. It's probably, what is it, a 12 and up machine.
Currently, I believe so.
For parents that own property and stuff, you know, where they can, you know, turn their kids loose. A lot of times these things have better parental controls on them being electric. It's just a very convenient thing for parents. We've seen it with the Denago electric ATV that we've been testing and stuff. It's just, you can plug it into the wall, turn your kids loose for the day, keep an eye on them with your phone and all that. That's how the Denago works. I don't have any other big details on this machine from the Honda patents, other than they are working on something as far as a youth model electric ATV goes.
As long as they don't replace the TRX 90 with it, it will only be a win. Electric is coming, and you can get as mad as you want about it. But if a parent could buy 2 of these things for their kids to go out in the backyard in the subdivision and ride, and no noise for the neighbors to complain about to shut them down, then fun will be taking place that otherwise wouldn't be happening. So if you don't have kids, we're not talking about you. It's a youth machine. So if you just want to complain, we don't really want to hear it.
Well, I'll add to that, though, before anybody goes off saying that this is replacing the TRX 90. Last year, the TRX 90 for 2025 wasn't even announced until January, I believe it was. So we have no news on this being a replacement for that machine. So
yeah, hopefully just an addition. Yeah, it would be a cool addition to the lineup.
Yep.
And hopefully Yamaha gives us something new, sport ATV, even if it's a youth electric. Something else that's new this year, from a segment that's near and dear to my heart, Kawasaki has updated the Brute Force 300 for 2026. It is a co-op that they did with Kymco. I don't remember what the first year was that they came out, but I liked them since year one. Rode the machine at the Mines and Meadows off-road park where Kawasaki did the original event, and got off the ATV and said, man, the suspension feels Japanese. Like, it's got that cool little 2-wheel drive Japanese feel about it. Steers good, stable. But the motor, I swear, it sounds like a Kymco. And the editors were laughing, and they're like, Joe, it says Kymco on the side of the motor. So it is a co-op, but they're good little reliable ATVs. They're 2-wheel drive. They're minimalist. There's no power steering, but it steers light. It rides good for what it is. It's like the ATV that old guys buy because they're easy to get on, and then they get handed down to the grandkids. I've been a fan of that unit since it came out. There's not many machines in that 2-wheel drive utility category anymore at that small, approachable size for older dudes and younger riders. So for 26, Kawasaki gave it EFI, which is a benefit with the crappy gas we get these days.
Absolutely.
They have restyled it, so it looks like the restyled Brute Force 750 and 450, which is a look I like. And it's probably it might be the least flawed ATV in Kawasaki's lineup, and it kind of sucks that we're saying that, but and we're not taking anything away from the other units, but this is just a great little machine for what it is, and it looks like Kawasaki's only made it better. Do you know if they went to LED on the lights? From the images I've seen, it looks like they did.
I believe they did. Yeah. The same as with the 750 and 450. Yeah. I believe they did upgrade to LED lights. As always, if we're wrong about that, we'll apologize in the next episode.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure it's LEDs. And like you said, even for vet riders and stuff, guys that, are upper class racers and stuff, it's still a fun little trail machine. Absolutely.
And it could do a little work around your place if you're not trying to tow a huge trailer up or down a really steep hill. Just good little machine, a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll get to test the new 26. But speaking of new stuff, you showed me some stuff that was coming out of EICMA.
Yeah, EICMA, the big show for power sports in Italy, saw some new stuff there, in particular for ATVs, the new CF Moto C-Force Gen 4. And a very futuristic looking ATV. But the big deal about it in the unveiling that they did there at EICMA was this machine has all-wheel steering. And from what I saw in the demo, it's not only, to help you turn tighter. I think I saw the wheels actually turning the same direction, so it almost looked like it had a crab walk feature to it also. This is not an electric ATV as far as I read. It's a gas powered ATV, but yeah, all wheel steering. That'll be a first for any ATV, I believe. Definitely from a major manufacturer. So good stuff there. No information on pricing. CF motos are known for being very affordable in every class that they're in, which is multiple classes in the 4x4 region. We'll see. We'll see how much this new feature drives the cost up of this machine. And it's a concept right now. We'll see if it even comes to light. But knowing CF Moto, they're hard on the gas right now, increasing market share in the U.S. and I think they already have a majority market share over in Europe. So yeah, CF Moto is rising quickly.
It could be a positive, it could be a negative, like you said. We'll see if it comes to market. Sounds like CF Moto may have found a way to make their units as expensive as everybody else's top of the line units, although they'll be doing some very unique stuff. It sounds like 2 power steering units and a lot more moving parts, and in tight stuff, it sounds like it'd be incredible. But
I only got two words for CF Moto: sport quads.
Yeah, sport quads. I was talking to Rick Checo this morning because of our little Grizzly Experience race that we got a chance to go do. We'll be talking to Scott Newby about that in a bit, but I called him to get his take on it, and those Yamaha patents came up, and he said, yeah, that'd be nice if they'd come out and challenge Can-Am, but really, if Yamaha could do anything, bring back a Raptor 250. We need more entry-level machines in the sport ATV market. He said that's the missing thing right now before we start filling in competitive spots. Of course, I said KO 300. Let's hope it's good, and he agrees. So,
yeah,
we've gone full circle. Yeah, we need more sport ATVs.
Yeah, it's something we didn't even really talk about on the KO 300. There's quite a few aftermarket companies that are just as excited about that machine as we are. And I'm telling you, after I rode it, and even before they got all these changes, it was surprisingly good. And I am looking forward to throwing a leg over that machine again. I actually want to pick one up for my wife so she can go out and ride with me on my YFZ 450R. I love it. Glad to see it. Can't wait. Can't wait for the end of this month or end of this year when they actually start coming out.
Well, you have ridden some other ATVs recently that are pretty cool, new, and exciting to the market. There is a lot of stuff going on right now. People think ATVs are kind of dead, but they're really not, and we know it because you got a chance. Now, you guys, give us a few minutes to go over it before you tune out. You had a chance to ride the new electric Outlander from Can-Am and their Smart-Shox Outlander 1000. But the electric one's interesting. Let's get through it real quick for the haters so they don't get too turned off by it. But what was it like to ride that thing?
We got flown up to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and got to ride some of the trails up there. And Kane and I both from Dirt Wheels went, and I remember we did our first initial ride with it, and we stopped, and Kane is, he doesn't show a whole lot of excitement, and he can be the guy that point out all the flaws of a certain machine. I've never seen his face light up this much, and I was the same way. It was very exciting. The acceleration of these electric motors, and this is a machine that's it's in the same range of horsepower and torque as the Outlander 700, but man, the power comes on so hard. I think it's governed to 50 miles an hour, but man, it gets there in 4 to 5 seconds, and just great torque, breaking the wheels loose to help you turn and get around obstacles and all that. It was amazing. They say about a 50-mile range on these things. Kane and I decided it was more like, if we were in sport mode the whole time for the most part, which is insane. Even the normal mode, and there's also a work mode, but the normal mode accelerates hard. The acceleration comes on more like a 1000cc 850. Actually, probably even better than that. I think in a 50 mile per hour drag race, you'd be shocked. I'd like to put it up against some of the best sport quads out there, maybe even a Yamaha Banshee, to see how it does on acceleration. But we think the range, the realistic range for guys that really like to, get it hard, get on the acceleration really hard, it's probably more around 35 mile to 40 miles range. And we rode these things all day, all morning long, came in, still had plenty of power left, plugged them in, went to lunch, came back out, and, we had a full charge again. So yeah, they have their place. They're not for everybody. We get that. If you don't like it and you want to stick with your gas machine, Can-Am has all of those too. But for hunters and property owners and people that don't want to have to do a whole lot of maintenance to their machines, around the farm or whatever, you can just hose these things off, plug them in. They're ready to go the next day.
No air filter to clean, no oil to change. And it's based on the handling of the Outlander 700, they say, which we've both found to be an outstanding handling machine in that big bore single segment. Did that carry over to the electric for you?
Absolutely. It may be even more because of the responsiveness of the acceleration. And if you like doing wheelies, they absolutely will do it.
Get one of those.
The great thing about it was just, being up there in Wyoming, it's so quiet. You can hear everything going on around you. And Kane shot a video. We were together. I think I had a camera on my bumper and he had a GoPro on himself. And we could actually, as we were shooting this video, we could talk to each other, even though we were front to back, and hear each other just fine. So it's a neat feature. If you want to, hear nature and be out in the outdoors. And, another great thing about it is out of ear range, out of mind. Nobody's going to hear you out there. Nobody's out there to complain. So yeah, I was really impressed with it. And after a full day of riding that machine, even I felt like my shoulders were coming apart just from the incredible acceleration of having to hold on to it. So that tells you a little bit about how hard these machines come on.
So it's kind of funny. So if Can-Am could just please take this power plant and put it in a sport ATV chassis, we would be excited. We would be excited.
It would work.
It would fly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of sporty, you did ride the Outlander with Smart-Shox, which that's a very much love it and hate it topic for me, because it's like, stop trying to figure out ways to add cost to all of your current models, which you got to give Can-Am credit. They've redone the whole lineup over the past 3 years. So I can't throw this kind of shade at them, but build some new models that are cheap. But that being said, Smart-Shox on a side-by-side, it's one thing, but then like you talk about Smart-Shox on an ATV with independent rear suspension. It almost sounds like it'd have an even more exciting benefit to a ride-on machine than a car. What was your takeaway?
We spent a bunch of time on tighter trails the second day up in Wyoming, concentrating on this machine. I like it. You can definitely tell a difference. But I also, the QS3 shocks, I think that's what's on the Outlander 1000R XTP as it is, they work fantastic as it is. So I couldn't tell, it was a little better, but I couldn't exactly tell, being on these tighter trails up in Wyoming, exactly how it was working. I can't wait to get it down here in the desert, take it out in the open, and even hit the rocks with it to toggle between the different modes to see how it does, descending and off of steps and stuff in more technical terrain. How much I really like it, because I think, what did we say the difference was? And you get a bigger screen on your machine. I think there were some other features to it too, minor features, but the Smart-Shox are the big upgrade, and I think it increases the price. What was it, $2,800?
It was close to $3,000, I want to say, and you get a bigger screen on it, but who cares? And then you get the Smart-Shox, which is really what you were paying for, I think, more than a bigger screen. So,
so I need to spend some more time with that machine. But if it is the first ATV to get that electronic suspension, so
you're saying it's good, although the QS3s are good. So you're not saying yet that it's $2,800 better,
right?
Not yet.
To be determined.
Fair enough.
Maybe we'll go race one in the desert, the Mint 400, which we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Well, speaking of race, we do have some more Sport Quad news to kind of sandwich in all this utility talk. You had a chance to take a little ride on the Canadian, now soon to be American made Kahana KM500R. Now, was that a pre-production unit or was that, two-stroke sport ATV? The first 500 two-stroke single since the LT 500 went away after, I want to say, 89. It was made 87 to 89, I think.
Yeah.
The first 500 two-stroke single. You're one of the few people that's ridden it. Was it a production unit? Was it pre-production?
It's very close to production. They had some issues with it. It uses a smart carb, 38 millimeter smart carb. Bringing it down from Canada. They actually drove this thing all the way down to Arizona just so I could ride it for a couple of hours. And so we had to tweak the jetting a little bit. It was really fat for whatever reason when they got it down here. But it was very easy. It's all external, dials and stuff to dial that in. We worked some of that out by the end of the day. There were some other things about it that they're still working on. But it felt like a 500cc two-stroke. I think there's some room for them to keep tweaking a little bit on this machine to really get that thing to open up. But it sounded and rode and clutched just like an old two-stroke machine. It really took me back to my old 250R days. Got me excited about two-strokes again. And it handles really well. It's very planted in the corners. We could get it to slide through the bank corners out. We took it out to our favorite track again, Twisted Lizard, out near the Arizona-California border. And spent a day riding this thing, and I'm very excited, very optimistic about it. And like you said, they are in the process. They've delayed about a month or two production while they are actually moving the factory from up in British Columbia, Canada, down to Utah in the U.S. So yes, this will be a U.S.-made machine. The whole point of that is to avoid the extra cost of tariffs, and it's right off the bat. They're looking to produce a machine that is near race ready. It's race width, all aluminum chassis. Custom axis shocks. I believe the price is $18,600. A lot of people are balking at that, but if you've ever built a race machine, a YFZ 450R, it gets a lot more expensive than that.
You will not build a hybrid that inexpensively. Not if you go buy a new YFZ,
especially a hybrid.
A YFZ 450R is $10,899, I believe now. For 26, I think it's more than $10,599 now. The cost of a YZ250 dirt bike to get a two-stroke out of is over $8,000. So you're already there, and then you've got to figure out a way to make it fit. So the Kahana probably will be very fairly priced at where it's at. We can only hope that another major OEM maybe will come out with something that'll be a little more affordable for the masses, but Kahana's leading the way. The Japanese have taken their foot off the gas, and it looks like between Kahana and KO and who else may be next, companies are popping up here and there that seem interested in taking that market. Thank goodness. And we need it because there's a lot of racing that happens across the country, and they need some race bikes. So Works, speaking of racing, has some changes coming next year, don't they? Out west.
AMA sanctioned series. They are the West Coast Regional now, at the same level of GNCC. Hopefully they can get the same numbers as the GNCC racing does. But yeah, Works is doing good. I've been encouraged when I've gone to the races and seen the number of youth ATV racers that are coming up. Very promising for the future of ATV racing on the West Coast.
What are your thoughts? Do you think that the AMA sanctioning that series is going to help the numbers? Do you think it's going to have any impact?
Hopefully it will attract more pros for the Sunday Pro race to come in and race that series. I don't know. It remains to be seen, and people are already asking questions. That, Works allows three-wheel racers to race. I've talked to Heather over at Works, and AMA does not allow three-wheelers to race, but Works has already said that they can have three-wheeler races. They just won't be sanctioned by the AMA. It'll be its own deal. It'll be at its own championship, just like always. But you three-wheeler guys, you need to get out and support this and get out there and line up on the line, because it can't be the same three guys that carry that class time after time. And the same goes for 4x4 racers at Works too. And there's some questions about that, like AMA over in GNCC, they only allow ATVs to be 50 inches wide. Well, there's two or three guys.
I'm not sure about if they have any desert rules for AMA. I haven't read the rules on that, but it's it's the same width cap even for ATV motocross. 50 inches is the max.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting, because there are two or three. I think there's three guys that race the Scrambler S, which is 55 inches wide. That Works. We'll see. But again, 4x4 and three-wheeler racers, if you guys want to continue to see those classes at Works, get out there and race, man. Bring out your old, stock ATCs, or bring out your new stuff. Some of the guy like David Ham, he shows up every once in a while racing a TPC. Anything goes in that class. So that's three wheels. So get out there and support it. Every time we bring it up, there's a whole bunch of comments, guys saying, hey, let's do this. Let's get out there. This is great. Works has three-wheeler classes, but it's only the same guys that show up. Paul Built Racing, Paul Airy, he's always out there doing this stuff. Dave from ATC Addiction, Dave Wiley, he comes out to race those races. You guys get out there and have some fun.
So what Jeff's telling you is, no matter what you have, if you show up right now, you could get a top 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, hey, there's not a ton of competition, so it's not as risky. It's not as dangerous. And, the three-wheeler guys aren't trying to kill each other. So
no, they're not.
Even though the three-wheelers, people say they're so dangerous, a lot of racing and danger comes down to what kind of chances are the guys willing to take. And the three-wheeler guys tend to be some of the safest guys you can race. They don't want you to get hurt. They don't want to get hurt. So drag out your old ATC, no matter what you got, and have some fun. Show it off.
Yeah. One more thing I want to say about Works. Congrats to Bo Barron. 12th Pro Championship with the Works Series. I think the last 3 years when I've talked to Bo, he keeps on talking about retirement. But he keeps winning. Yeah, I think he's 44 years old now. And now that this AMA thing is going on, maybe this will give a boost to that class. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bo back out there again this year, 2026.
Going for again, Lucky 13.
Congrats. Lucky 13. And yeah, 12 championships at Works. Good luck beating that, that winning streak to anybody. I mean, that's tough. So, moving on, how about, 2026 Works racing season, so with these new AMA rules, Washougal is back. This is a national level motocross track. And yeah, it's a hike for the guys in the Southwest that race Works, but man, I'm going. If you've ever, I know you and I, we went up to Washougal for the 2006 TRX 450 R intro. One of the best tracks. That loamy dirt is just amazing.
We sound old, but I'll tell you what, I was so glad I got to go there, because it's an iconic motocross track. You've seen it. We're fans of two wheels as well as the sport quads, and we've seen that track on TV for just years and years. And it's really a neat track. Big, huge, mature pine trees everywhere, and you're racing up and down these hills with just this chocolate cake dirt. Beautiful track, beautiful facility, and that'll be a cool opportunity for the Works guys.
Yeah, glad to see it back on the schedule. Also, they have a new track coming in Reno, Nevada, and there's another one in Utah. Look forward to seeing some new tracks in the coming season.
And here's some other positive news I was going to say is, we are going through a bit of an economy Heat up thing. Everything's expensive. Everything's getting more expensive. But in spite of it all, and in spite of the lack of sport quad availability, GNCC just set an attendance record. Bad economy, but like you have 10 dirt bike manufacturers out there. I saw Ducati displaying dirt bikes at the Ironman GNCC this year. I'll be happy to.
Hey, can I just say something real quick since you're talking about this?
Yeah.
If you've seen the new issue of Dirt Bike Magazine, has a 2-stroke buyer's guide in it. 55 dirt bikes, and this doesn't even cover all of those. Why can't we get 2 450s? Much less one 2-stroke sport machine. 55.
I heard
55 bikes.
I heard one of the best excuses, and I wouldn't say excuse, I'd call it reasons, and it was different because.
Are you playing devil's advocate?
No, when I was talking to Rick Checo this morning, we had a really great conversation, and this guy's been around for a while, and he says he thinks a big problem that we have with these OEMs is there's no DNA. He says, Bruce Ogilvy, that was the guy's name from Honda?
From Honda, yeah.
He's no longer there. He's gone. These companies hire these people, and they have DNA from dirt bikes. They have DNA from snowmobiles. Some companies, they have DNA from the road bike market. But there's just because, and it makes sense because the sport ATV segment, from 3-wheelers to the 4-wheelers in the 80s to, where Yamaha was the only game in the 90s, save a couple, offerings from Honda and Kawasaki, Mojave 300EX, but not many performance machines. Like, we keep having these dead spells, and so we don't have that consistent DNA at these manufacturers where sport quads are actually on their mind. When he said it, it's like, damn, Rick, that makes sense. So I'm with you. Like, if we can have, how many 2-strokes did you say? Over 50?
There's 55 just in that buyer's guide, and that doesn't cover all of that. That's youth models and, all the way up to the new Beta 350.
And not one of these stupid companies will build, and I'm calling them all, not one of these stupid companies will take a 2-stroke engine and put it in a 4-wheeled chassis just so they can build something different than their competitors.
Yeah, I'd like to remind those guys, 20 years ago, there was a time when ATVs outsold motorcycles altogether and, blew away dirt bikes, So telling us that there's no market for sport quads, it's wide open right now for somebody to step up. Suzuki, this is your perfect opportunity because Honda is not listening. Yeah, or one of these others that
Beta
have never gotten
350 counterbalance 2-stroke.
Chromoly chassis.
Call Mike Walsh. He said he'd help you. Call Mike Walsh. Anyway, but in spite of the lack of sport quad and current 4x4 competitors, because everything that's winning in 4x4 at GNCC is the Renegade 1000. Currently, it's a one brand, one model, set of classes for 4x4 and a one brand, one model, deal for the sport quads as far as what you can buy new. GNCC is awesome, and you see everything out there racing, which is what makes it so cool. But in spite of the fact that there's no new machinery in 4 wheels, they set an attendance record between the bikes and the quads, didn't they?
Yes. 2,881 total race entries at Ironman. That is nuts.
That's insane.
I asked my friends when I got back here on the West Coast, I said, how many entries do you think are dirt bikes and ATVs combined? And everybody was like, I don't know, 400, 500? I was like, man, you have no idea. When I rolled into this place for the first time, and by the way, Joe and I, we were invited by Yamaha to race at that event. When I rolled in, I thought I was rolling into a NASCAR race. I couldn't believe the sea of toy haulers and all that were there. And yes, of that 2,881 total race entries, remember they don't have side-by-side racing with GNCC, but the majority of those were dirt bikes. But if you had seen in every race, especially that AM race that we did on Saturday, how many ATVs were out there on the line and the variety of ATVs.
It was so cool.
Everything.
It was so cool. It just
so many Honda 400 EXs.
Right. Like there's a place like that's what's cool about cross country. I used to think that motocross was where it was at. It's like, oh, the best riders are the motocross guys. That was my attitude when I got into it. Because like, the moto guys, they're bougie. Those are the elite guys. Sorry, I'm kind of saying I was wrong, but it was like, oh, the woods guys, oh, rednecks. They're cool. It's cool, but it's not motocross. Now it's like cross country is what's cool, because if you own it, you can find a place to race it. There's a class you can race it in. We saw 400 EXs. We saw 250Rs. The 4x4 C class had like 2 or 3 Polaris Sport, or not, they weren't the Sport. Those were 2-wheel drives, but they had 2 or 3 Scrambler 400 2-strokes in that class.
Yeah, that was awesome.
They were neat, and they were pretty good shape too. And that you could have raced a Scrambler 500 4-stroke. There was a guy out there, because we did a post on it on Facebook, and somebody even pointed out there was a guy out there on a Trailblazer 250.
Yeah.
A 2-stroke 250 CVT from Polaris from the 80s and 90s. It's like, you can race anything at a GNCC. And
there was a guy on the line behind me that was on a full-blown beautiful Lobo 250R, and I was like, man, I admire this guy to bring a beautiful machine out there like that and beat the crap out of it on that course. It's a brutal course.
Yeah, and there was another
and everything else.
There was another guy with a gas 300.
Gas.
Right.
Yep.
And it's like,
and it looked like it was right off the showroom floor. I was like, I love it.
It's like, let's go trash this thing that there's probably like 20 of them left in the country. Let's go beat the crap out of it for 2 hours.
Everything was there. There was a couple of Banshees out there even racing cross country, which shouldn't be weird because we saw them at Blackwater decades ago.
Right.
But yeah, there were some guys out there making good time on Yamaha Banshees.
You don't see many oddballs show up at a GNC Motocross National. It's like same bike, 50 classes. If you don't know what class you're watching, you don't know what class you're watching. But at GNCCs, if you want to go race a 300EX, an old 80s 250X, a 400EX, you can find a class you can compete in and do really well. You don't have to spend a fortune to go try it. You can spend as much as you want, or you could go just race a stock, go buy a $3,000 400EX, add some skid plates and a kill switch and go. Try it out. If you want to try some racing and you don't want to spend a fortune, but you just want to get your feet wet, you're going to spend your time on replacement parts and washing the bike, but you really, that's where it's cheap to start. And so
even at that national level, there's a place there for you for sure. And it was exciting to see that, and that number of racers show up. Even the line for registration both days, ATVs on Saturday, dirt bikes on Sunday, it was 100 yards long, and most people sign up ahead of time.
I know you said that dirt bikes were bigger, but just want to make it clear that the ATV turnout was very impressive. The morning race that you guys were in, we brought Evan Hartzell out to race for us, but that morning race that all you guys were in, there was 500 competitors there that morning in that race. And that was after a whole bunch of youth racing took place. I don't know what the exact count was for the youth racing. And then obviously there was the PM race where there was pros and other fast classes. So of those numbers, I mean, there was a respectable ATV turnout considering there's 10 classes there's 10 people at least making bikes. There's more if you count the small companies like the Shercos and the TMs and these small, more oddball brands. You got 10 companies making dirt bikes. You got 2 companies building race quads at this point, a 4x4 company and a quad company. So the ATV turnout was awesome, and it was neat to see everything. And But one more bit of ATV racing to talk about because we're going kind of long on the GNCC, but it was neat. It was cool.
Before we hang up on GNCC, I just want to throw some congrats out there to Bryson Neal, who won the championship this year and won the Ironman race. Great show. Heck of a guy. Very approachable, down to earth guy, but man, he's fast. These are the best racers in the world. I'll say that again. And I've always said it, but now that I've raced a race out there, that was an understatement. It's brutal terrain. These guys are incredible. So, yeah, moving on. American Off-Road Championship.
The Mint 400. You are.
Yep. My former desert racing self is very excited about this. American Off-Road Championship. This is the Unlimited Racing Series, and Best in the Desert got together. And for the first time in forever, it seems like quad classes are going to happen at the legendary Mint 400 race in Nevada. We are going to talk to our buddy Jason Zittel, who was very instrumental in making this happen. Let's switch over to that.
All right, some of you guys know him as Jason Zittel. If you're old like me and Jeff, you might remember him as Racer X573 from the ATV scene forums back in the day. No, you're old, older than me. Jason, welcome to Quadcast.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
What's going on, Jason?
Oh, just living the dream up here in Oregon right now. So
I lived up in the Pacific Northwest for 5 months. Seemed like 5 years. You can have that. So
I'm only here temporarily. So
well, I was near Portland though. So maybe.
I'm sorry.
That place is burnt down now, so you won't be going back.
Yeah. So anyway, we want to talk about something completely different from that. We're going to talk a little bit about desert racing and something that you have been instrumental in making happen. And that is ATV classes at the Mint. And man, when was the last time that happened?
Late 80s, early 90s. Like officially, as far as I know of, when it was the Mint, it was like the Nissan Mint 400 in like 87 or 88. And then a friend of mine, Jason Romans, he raced it, I believe, in the 90s, but it was under a different name of some sort before it got disbanded in the late 90s and then came back. So it took a break. It took a hiatus from the race scene before Unlimited took it over, and there wasn't even handlebars like motorcycles even at all when they took over, and they brought bikes into the circuit probably just a few years back, and of course no quads until next year.
Yeah. We've been seeing pictures of you on the quad that we actually have a feature coming out in Dirt Wheels magazine about the hybrid that you guys were racing at Vegas to Reno. By the way, there's a beautiful 2-page spread of you riding it. I don't know if I told you that yet.
Very nice. I think a little bit on it. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a cover shot or a spread, but there were some sponsors that turned me down, and then I told them about it, and then they came back around, and that's a different story. But
well, now you got to call them and tell them you got the centerfold. So
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
It'd be a pinup.
So the big thing we want to do though is get more guys signing up for this thing. So far, I don't know, was there 5 or 6 guys signed up that we know of?
Yeah, we've got five guys in the pro class, 3 entries in the expert class, and as of now, a single Ironman signed up. And I know 1 entry in the expert class for sure was because of the campaign that I ran. I think they saw when I posted the poll, and then when Dirt Wheels reshared it, that's when I think people started taking notice. And I said, hey, if you got any questions about this thing, reach out to me. And they reached out to me, and I conned them into it. So they're signed up. So
yeah, I got
from Louisiana.
I got a message from Matt Martelli soon after all this happened. He goes, Jeff, what do you think? Are the quad guys going to show up? And I was like, absolutely. But you and I both are sticking our necks out there. And yeah, we need to make sure that people are signing up. Why don't you go ahead and give us a rundown a little bit more as far as how long do people have to prepare for this? And tell us a little bit about what you know about the race so far.
So I mean, I've gone and spectated at the Mint for the past 3 years in a row, and I can say it's very organized, professional, and it's like the Nationals, now, where back in the day it was kind of like, well, I guess you'd call it like a glorified local, where you could just show up and kind of just hit wherever and do whatever you wanted. Like it's 100% organized. Everything's got a place. Um, my recommend, if you're gonna race it or thinking about racing it, now's the time to start prepping. You can get pre-entered, which is the cool part. You can pre-enter for $100. You buy your membership for $125, and you can go pre-register for the whole series if you want to, and you don't have to pay the whole amount up front. They're doing a 30, 60, 90, payment plan through the website, which I think is a good for a lot of guys, especially when we're quad racers. Like we're quad poor or quad rich, however you want to call it. We're all poor, but we have a really expensive hobby.
The car and truck guys say we race for free, basically. And but I remember back in the day, we all got our credit cards maxed out from desert racing.
Yep, and that's good though, because it gives people, for one, there's no random draw, for the series this year. So when you pre-register, that secures your starting position. So if you don't want to start behind, a bunch of dust, I mean, there's going to be dust from the bikes and everything else, but if 10 guys end up signing up per class or more, the sooner you get in, the sooner you get to get on the track and don't have to worry about eating someone else's dust. I mean, don't be like me, the guy that organized the campaign and used the wrong credit card and refreshed his page twice and ends up like fourth on the draw.
So you already mentioned pitting. This is a lap race, correct? So it's it's for people that are signed, they may be thinking Vegas to Reno, or maybe they're thinking Baja level stuff. No, this one's actually a little easier as far as logistics go to plow.
Yeah, for sure. And like I helped pit for some dirt bike guys and some UTV teams in the past seasons, and you got 3 pits. It's a stationary location. You come to Vegas, you find your spot to stay. You camp out right there at the track. Everything takes place right where, right there in Prim, usually, where anyone that races works. You're familiar with that area. They utilize parts of that course. So each entry, you get six people on your pit crew are included in that entry. And I mean, and we're going to be offering basic pit support for pretty much anybody that shows up. I'm going to have dedicated pit support for 2 teams, one other pro team, 2 of the expert teams, and then 2 of the Ironmen, where we're going to have the tires and stuff like that, and fuel. We've got dry brake cans. We've put the investment into getting. Shoot, I think we have 5 dry brake dump cans now, just because we got sick of borrowing them. But we're there for anybody that needs help. Like, we're going to help anybody that needs help. And we helped out dirt bike racers at Vegas to Reno. I towed dirt bikes across the finish line at Silver State. If we're there, if you see the logo, if you see our crew running around, you don't know where your pits are, look for Team Blind Skull, and that's where you're going to have people.
Yeah. How many racers can there be on each team?
So your entry includes 2 racers. Every racer after that is an additional $100. Which, with the layout of this course, I've talked to some bike guys. It just depends on your pit strategy, what you think is going to be more advantageous, to have more guys or less guys, or if you just want the glory of Iron Manning the first Mint 400 that has quads in close to 40 years. I mean, that's an accolade all in itself. And but with that said, if we don't get the entries, there's a possibility that it may not happen next year. So it could be a once in a lifetime shot where they say, hey, you guys didn't show up, we gave you the chance, now you're out. And I've gotten a lot of chatter back from the 3-wheeler crowd, which, I mean, I'm good friends with a lot of those guys. And what about the trikes? What about the trikes? And it's one thing at a time. and we got to get four wheels in there first before they'd even consider the three wheelers.
Right.
And I know most of the guys that have trikes have a quad, so get on your
Yeah.
quad and come out.
So for
Yeah.
somebody who wants to get involved in this, and they maybe haven't done a desert race before, and they're sitting there like, man, I'd like to try this, but I probably just don't have a machine that's capable of doing it. What is the minimum that somebody could show up with and do this, and just to finish? What is the minimum setup?
A bone stock Raptor or a 400EX. There was a guy, 64-year-old man, who Ironman Vegas to Reno, and it was his first race ever on a bone stock Raptor. He still had his license plate on the back of it from when he uses it for rallying his cows up or something like that. And I'm talking bone stock, tires, wheels, shocks, everything. And at Laughlin a couple weeks ago, there was a guy on a mildly modified 400EX, maybe I think it might have had some plus twos and some work shocks. It was straight out of a 2004 Dirt Wheels ad. And the guy, they did, they raced Laughlin on that. I've seen every single thing you could think of come through the desert races since we've been doing it. We've $30,000 hybrid, or I've seen guys on a $3,000 450R. It can be done. I wouldn't recommend hopping on something that's been sitting in your barn for 10 years, but take it out, grease the bearings, replace the usuals with, good aftermarket or OEM parts, get some shocks revalved and some bigger tires. If you don't have let's say again.
Skid plates.
Oh yeah, skid
definitely.
plates for sure. Sprocket guards, just your basic armor, that, I mean, typically, most of the recreational riders, that's stuff they put on their bikes. They slap skid plates on the stuff, because I know when I was riding around the trails, I couldn't afford to be replacing chains and sprockets and all that stuff all the time. So we had a skid plate on the machine.
So this will be a daytime event. They're not going to need big lights and all that kind of stuff.
Correct. So I've seen typically the bikes that were coming in towards the end are coming in around dusk. There's a possibility of the dark, but they have a cutoff time usually, and it's when the lead bike finishes is what it's been like, kind of like a GP style finish. So that's where the lead guys they're getting their full amount in. I think the lead bike last year, the year before, was like 7 or 8 laps, and the motorcycle course is anywhere between 60 and 80 miles. So those top guys, they're getting their allotted time in, and then when they're done, that's when the flags go out usually. Which, if you only get a few, you need to get at least half the amount of laps as the leader, I believe, to qualify as a finisher. So your target's going to be 3 to 5 laps.
Yeah. Well, some other good points to make, especially to first-time desert racers. This particular race, you're not racing with the cars and trucks.
So there's no shared course for the handlebars and the trucks except for the speed zones. And those are the 25-mile-an-hour zones where, anybody it's not going to be, if anyone's driving dangerously, they're going to be penalized or disqualified. So you're not going to have to worry about getting smoked by a trophy truck coming behind you on a dry lake bed doing a $120. And then on top of that, you might get some good camera footage from a helicopter if you're out there where the trucks are coming through a speed zone, or I think there's some spots where they run parallel. So there's no worry in that aspect of the cages and handlebars sharing a course. So I think it's a very good opportunity for first timers. One, because it's so prestigious, and two, everything's in a centralized area. So, like, most importantly, emergency services are readily available in the event that it's necessary. You're right there near Las Vegas. You're not out in the middle of nowhere trying to get to the, God forbid, the nearest hospital if something happens. And they do have recovery crews on standby, and that's part of your entry fee. Also, is the mandatory recovery fee.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Not overly expensive. I think that's something that people, identify with desert racing, but you're actually splitting up the cost with the number of racers on your team. You can also get family members involved as part of your pit crew, make it a family event, But like you said,
Yep.
This is a big race, big prestigious race, something that, you will remember all of your life. If you're new to ATV racing or have never tried desert racing before, this is definitely the event to get your feet wet.
And rumor has it, it's not quite, I don't think it's going to be much of a rumor because I was reached out to directly about it, but I'm pretty sure quads are going to be leading the parade.
Awesome. That's great stuff.
So I think this race is an opportunity for a turning point that ATV racing needs to get into the spotlight, because by us being allowed to be at this event, that exposes us to guys like, especially at the Tech Expo, where there's companies that have a long history with racing. You got Texera, Lone Star, those types of companies that have been around it forever. But I mean, you got people like Stone Cold Steve Austin, out walking the Tech, and they get a chance to see quads. And we've talked to some of these other guys. Like, we actually raced against Cowboy Cerrone on a quad at the Golden State 250 last year. And it's like, these high profile names are coming to the desert, and they're not, Stone Cold's not going to a race where there's, an ATV national. He's going to a desert race where we just happen to be, and that catches people's eyes. And, we talk to these guys, the trophy truck drivers, and, they all think we're insane, but that opens up doors and relationships for the sport, I believe.
Yeah, and with that type of visibility too, you're hoping that manufacturers like Honda, Suzuki, people that are there for the dirt bikes, that they're going to take notice and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we were wrong about sport quads. Maybe we need to get back into it.
Pro entry fees are like $950. Expert and amateur, or expert and Ironman are $600, and then you got a $125 membership on top of that. I'd say when it's all said and done, unless you're running race fuel, you could probably pull this thing off for less than $2,000 if you played your cards right. If anybody needs some cheat codes on how to save costs at the other aspects of desert racing on the logistical side, be it fuel, hotels, and that type of stuff, feel free to reach out to me. And our team's going to be there. We set up camp, and we're here. We're there for every quad that shows up. You can count on us being able to try to support you in any way that we can.
So anyone who wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can catch me on Instagram at Matchbook Nomad or at Team Blind Racing, or email me at info@teamblindracing.com.
Sounds
Chances
great.
are
You
I'll give you
guys,
my phone number.
and you guys, it might sound like a lot to undertake, but it's really not. And you're making memories that you are going to remember forever. Great stuff. Great event to be a big part of. ATVs haven't been there in decades. Get your butt out there. Sign up for this. Good stuff, man. Jason,
Right on.
thanks for being with us. Thanks for spearheading this and putting it together. All we've done is spread the word of something you started.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to do it without you guys. For that was a huge aspect of the visibility that the campaign needed. And when I saw the first Mint 400 comment that said, I think it said, "We see you," under the Dirt Wheels post, I'm like, okay, it's happening.
Yeah.
Like movement has been made. So it's just a matter of, finding what you want to do, reaching out to people, and just making noise, till the right type of noise, until they let you in.
Good stuff. Thanks, Jason. We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right.
All right, it's time to get geared up for episode 4. In this episode, we've got horsepower products to help you maintain your vision and to keep you legal and better protected out on the trail. Jeff, what do we have?
We got some complete exhaust systems from Rossier Engineering. If you want to unlock real race-level performance from your YFZ 450R or your Raptor 700R, Rossier has full exhaust systems that will keep you on top. These pipes are engineered for big gains across the entire power band and built to take race-level abuse. Here's what Rossier had to say about the two different systems. It consists of the R4 or the R5 full exhaust system. The R4 is the louder, harder-hitting system built with carbon fiber and titanium components that let the engine breathe freer, rev quicker, and carry stronger over rev. If you want a pipe with attitude and maximum RPM, the R4 delivers. The R5 comes in full titanium or full stainless steel, still makes excellent power, and runs noticeably quieter. Add the quiet core insert, and it meets all current decibel limits, whether you're racing or out riding in the U.S. forest, and it still maintains optimal performance. Both systems are full exhaust systems, as I already said, designed with billet end caps, quality materials, and a multi-piece layout that flexes with the chassis to help prevent cracking. That's especially important with the YFZ 450R, which we know that those subframes tend to flex a little bit. The R4 carbon systems arrive in January, and the R5 systems are available right now. Check them out at rossiereng.com. That's ROSSIERENG.com.
So they have these exhausts in both flavors, I guess, coming for the Raptor 700R and the YFZ 450R.
Correct.
It's cool that we've got a brand like Rossier that's offering some exotic materials, because everybody's got a stainless steel exhaust, stainless steel and aluminum, but carbon fiber and titanium, that's some factory stuff right there.
Yeah, definitely decreases the weight of these machines compared to stainless steel, which is also a very tough, durable material for exhaust systems. So you got several choices there.
Well, I have a twin stainless steel and aluminum exhaust on my Raptor 700 right now. I imagine if I switched over to a single system out of titanium and carbon fiber, I'd probably lose 20 pounds.
I don't
lose
think
a ton of weight.
I'd rather just lose the weight myself.
Right.
But yeah, there's some fancy stuff, like you said, the exotic materials there, whether you want stainless steel, titanium, or full-blown carbon fiber on the can. Very good-looking exhaust systems.
Yeah, Dave's got some new designs, and he's been doing a lot of work to make sure that product availability is taken care of. So, looking forward to seeing these exhausts in the future and what else they have coming down the pipeline at Rossier Engineering.
Yeah. PowerMat handguards. This isn't really a new product. It's just become a more necessary product for riders, and especially in states like my own, Arizona. I actually got pulled over a few months ago while I was out testing a Can-Am ATV. I got pulled over by law enforcement in a sandy wash. I was the only one there, and law enforcement approached me in a Razor. 2 officers pulled me over because I did not have a rear view mirror on my ATV, which I did not know was a law in Arizona. Apparently it's been on the books for a while, just hasn't been enforced. It's probably a rule that they use just to pull people over to make sure that their registrations are current on the ATVs. But they have been pulling people over, and I've seen actually some TikTok videos and videos on YouTube of riders that recorded themselves getting pulled over for no rearview mirror. In each case, the Leos actually let them off with a warning to get rearview mirrors on their ATVs. By the way, this also applies to dirt bikes. Any OHV out in Arizona anyway, and I'm assuming that there are other states that have the same rule, you have to have a rearview mirror. One thing I don't like is the universal mirrors, which they stand kind of tall, and if you're an aggressive rider, those taller stick mirrors just stab you in the throat. When you're riding along, you forget they're there.
It's a safety feature.
It's a safety concern is what it is. And but I remembered that Power Mad handguards, which is, one of the premium makers of handguard systems, that they had an optional mirror kit that you can use with their mirrors, specifically their Sentinel handguards. I just got a set of these and installed it on my YFZ. They have an optional mirror that goes on the outside of the handguard, but it's a very low profile. It's out of the way, out of your field of vision, does not interfere with your controls or your hands or anything like that. It's a really cool product that will keep you legal, and you won't even know that they're there. They actually give you a little more hand protection on top of what the handguard already does. But anyway, you can check those out at powermad.com. I got a full set. I think the handguards, the hardware to mount them, and the mirrors themselves came to around $100 for the entire setup. So kind of a cool thing. I'm actually debating on whether or not to leave the mirrors on there during racing. That way I can see if somebody's coming up behind me. Yeah, I'm not the fastest guy out there, so I do tend to get past every once in a while. It's nice. It's nice to know that they're coming. What can I say? I'm old. But yeah, really cool product, especially you guys in Arizona. Make sure you're legal before you hit the trails. And those of you guys outside Arizona, you might want to check your laws and make sure that you are legal. Power Mad makes a great product.
Sounds a lot better than those big tall mirrors that Can-Am had on those Outlander 700s back in 23 at that press event. Those things look very out of place off-road.
Yeah, those are the ones I'm talking about. Yeah, always hitting them with the bottom of my helmet and stuff.
Stab yourself in the throat with your rear view mirror.
Yeah, crush your trachea or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, no, don't care for that. Power Mad has the answer for you.
There you go.
Rebel Optics, man, we've talked about these guys before. I have a set of their goggles right here. Great goggles.
No bragging.
Quick change lens. They are. I still got the paper insert in this set. I haven't even tried it yet.
New.
Yeah, brand new. So this is the regular goggle that I got with the tinted lens, but they also have for the same set of goggles, and you check these out at rebelopticsllc.com. This is their new roll-off system. I got a chance to try these out when we raced GNCC Ironman last week. There wasn't a whole lot of water out there, but I did have to use them a couple of times to knock some of the mud off these goggles. It's a traditional system. Pull the string once or twice, and you got clear vision again. They have the mud flap across the top here that keeps, if mud does splash up, it can't get down in between the film and your lens. And also the great thing about these goggles is they just have a little switch on each side. You pop those up to unlock the lens. You can pop it out and then pop your new lens in. Same thing goes with this roll-off system. It's very easy to install without getting your fingerprints all over the lens. Then you just lock in each side and you're good to go. You know what? The other great thing about these, I've worn them in desert climate. I've raced them with them at GNCC. Been in colder weather. They don't fog up. Really like these. Again, check them out. rebelopticsllc.com.
Do you think it's ventilation, or do you think it's that they just have the lens coated somehow?
I think it's the ventilation. They have vents in the top and the bottom, and the way that the lens works also, going in there, it's not, you don't have all that heat trapped inside. So yeah, I think that's just it. They're modular. You can, I believe you can replace the foam on these too, but they're just engineered for, to be, for anti-fog, for roll-off systems. I've had great success with the lenses too. They're very scratch resistant. I love these goggles, and they fit big-headed guys like me too, which makes them even greater for us Norwegian giant foreheads.
Right on.
And guys that have their eyes a little further apart than most people. So yeah, great product.
One rumor I heard on a product that's coming, it's not there yet. I was going to let the guys at HMF borrow my borrowed Outlander 700 so that they could build a new exhaust system for it. I was looking at their website because we filmed a shootout and done some testing on the Outlander 700 recently. So I was like, I wonder if they have a pipe. They didn't offer to mine. They told me that they just got a unit in. So they're coming out with a new exhaust system and a fuel optimizer for the Outlander 700. I've heard that machine is a good candidate. It responds well to horsepower upgrades, is the rumor I've heard from other aftermarket companies. So HMF will be having some exhaust coming down the pipe soon for the Outlander 700, 500 models. I don't know whether they're going to be slip-on or full system. I expect they'll also be available in their traditional performance series, which is an aluminum and stainless kind of a sport quad exhaust system type design, as well as their all stainless steel Titan Quiet or Titan Loud versions, depending upon. I like the Titan Quiets, the stainless steel design. It's just tough. It doesn't rust. It's not much louder than stock. Sounds throaty. So looking forward to seeing what those guys come out with for that model. And I have one here to put it on. So looking forward to trying one of them out.
That's exciting news, especially for cross-country racers, because as we said, there was more than just Can-Am Renegades out there at Ironman. I saw plenty of Outlanders, whether they were the new Gen 3s or the older generation. Great news for the guys that have the newer style Gen 3 Outlanders. Exhaust systems coming, as well as other stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I definitely saw some new ones out there, and I wasn't sure if they were singles or twins, but HMF already has stuff for the twin cylinders and now for the single cylinder coming up. So they'll have that Gen 3 Can-Am platform covered top to bottom here very shortly.
Sweet.
And that's it. We're done with products. Now we get to talk to Scott Newby from Yamaha. That'll be exciting.
We've been looking forward to this one for a while. This is one of the biggest insiders with one of the biggest names in sport quads, Yamaha. We've known Scott for a while. He knows the ins and outs and all the people that have the answers and stuff, which we don't anticipate we're going to get the answers to all of our questions,
Oh, but, I'm sure we won't.
Yeah. But been looking forward to this. You guys are going to learn something here for sure. Let's just dig right in.
Yeah, hang on. We'll be right back with our special guest. It's time for our special guest interview. Joining us today is Yamaha's Senior Product Communications Specialist. Wow, I got that right. For the four-wheeled off-road division. He's a friend of Jeff and I. We talk to this guy probably more than anybody at any other OEM. And
well, knowing you probably talk to him more than I do because you just call everybody all the time. You are Mr. Social Butterfly over there.
True. But they make sport quads, so we have lots of cool stuff to talk about. Others don't. So joining us today is Mr. Scott Newby. Scott, it's good to see you, bud. How are you?
Yeah, good to see y'all too. I mean, pleasure to be on the show to say the least. Love watching it. Honored to be on it too, especially coming off the heels of some fun racing out in Indiana.
Yeah, it's about time we got you on here.
Yeah, I try to stay out of the office as much as possible. So you guys finally pinned me down.
Well, we had some fun in Indiana, and we're going to get to that because there's some very exciting stuff to talk about. I just learned this morning, but we don't want to give it all away in the beginning. So let's kind of start off with you a little bit. How did you find your way into the dirt and dirt toys and Yamaha? How did you get where you are?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up, riding ATVs, even motorcycles all my life. Grew up racing, riding, all that good stuff. Did hare scrambles, motocross, everything there as well. Eventually, through high school, started working at a local dealership, actually out here in Georgia. And then was there for like 8 years or so, I think, in between graduating college and doing it off and on. Eventually got on board with Maxxis Tires, worked for Maxxis for about 2 years after that. And then ended up getting an opportunity with Yamaha. I was a district manager there with Yamaha for about 7 years in a couple of different districts, and then been doing this gig. You were close to my title. It's a weird one. So yeah, I do all communications, media stuff, all that good stuff. Been doing that for almost 12 years now, I think. So nearly 20 years at Yamaha total, and just been loving it all the way throughout. It's been a crazy ride. Man, I tell you what, though, motorsports is definitely my life. And so the more I get in it, just the more I love it. And that's why I love always talking to you guys too, just because, once it gets in you, man, it's just like it's in your blood and it can't get out. So always a pleasure to talk. Was it when you got started when you were younger, is it something you were introduced to through your friends, or is it something you started with your dad? How did that begin? Man, I've always had a craving to get out on two wheels and four wheels. Like my dad had an ATV when we were younger that we used for hunting. So I was riding around that thing. But then, it's just like I even in order to get my first motorcycle, took a loan out from my brother. He's 18 months older than me. So I took a loan out from him just to be able to afford it. I was like, that's the last thing I want is for my bigger brother to, like, hold me accountable for this vehicle I'm going to have, having to pay him back. But it's like, I had that much passion and drive to be in the motorsports that, I had to get something. And so once I got it from him, man, it just took off from there. And especially once I worked at the dealership, it's like, I think, technically I was getting paid there, but more often than not, like, my paycheck went directly into the parts and accessories and everything like that I was buying. So it wasn't much money coming out, but definitely a lot of fun going in.
Now it's funny how, Jeff, because I don't know if you knew this, but it's funny how close you get to people before you actually meet them. Scott was a dealer rep. I get all my units from Beachmont Motorsports here in Cincinnati, which is a few miles from my house. And come to find, after Scott took over, as Steve moved up at Yamaha, Steve Nessel used to have Scott's position. Now he's a bigwig and doesn't talk to us anymore, which is bad and good.
He talks to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
He talks to the people he likes. But coming to find out that Scott was the dealer rep for my local Yamaha dealership. So small world.
Oh, and it's so funny because, like, I can't even remember their dealer number off the top of my head. Even talk to Tom on that Grizzly stuff that you had. And it's just funny because you never, it's such a small industry, all things considered. But, it's just crazy how it's a small little world there.
I know, Scott, a lot of people think that, us as editors, we got it made. Of course, we do spend a lot of time behind a keyboard writing up these stories. But, yeah, this job absolutely has its perks. And I know your job does, too. You get to go on a lot of adventures. This year, you and I have been hunting together. We've raced together. We've done some wild stuff in UTVs, going up the back way to Crown King and Colorado and everything else. Tell us a little bit about some of the other adventures we might not know about, but some of the stuff that you get to do that it would make what a lot of people believe is a dream job. What are some of those adventures you get to go on?
Yeah, it can be anything from, one weekend going out to race some grizzlies with you guys to the next weekend of doing a full scale press ride and pretty much everything in between, from, hunting events and all that stuff. But for me, it's more or less just to show the breadth of a product, what all that we can do with our vehicles, and not just, you don't just see a Yamaha ad and say, oh yeah, proven off road, realize your adventure, 10-year belt warranty. But it's like, no, we're going out and doing those things for real and showing people that they can do those things, but also the fact that, like, we practice what we preach. We want to show the durability or the reliability of those vehicles. And just lucky me happens to be the person that gets to go out and do those things and go on those many adventures. So yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. Like you guys know, everyone gets to see the tip of the iceberg where it's all the fun stuff. You're going out and doing the rides, you're doing the hunts, but they don't see everything below the water. Where it's like, man, just all the logistics that goes into it, the coordination with everyone. And heck, even on the day that you guys arrive, it's like, we might have been at the event 2-3 days beforehand, pre-running everything, verifying routes, all that good stuff, getting anything ready. And then the day that you guys are showing up, it's like, oh yeah, now we got, flights delayed, got to, change everything up and all that. But yeah, it's all for the right reasons. And it's just my job. It's my life. And when I get to show off those things and do that for Yamaha and be able to showcase you guys too, it just makes it all the better.
Yeah, and I definitely see a lot of passion from you for what you do. You really get into it. This is, part of what you are. I guess, and again, Joe and I have talked about this before. Of all the different manufacturers, Yamaha stands out. Everybody that we know that works at Yamaha, whether it's you or Pat Biolsi, he's an engineer. You got Travis Hollins, you got Steve. You guys are really into this stuff. You guys, if you're not working, I know for a fact that Pat and they go out, they're riding at the dunes. That's, it's a lifestyle. It's not just a career.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I really love. And even I remember my very first day I came to Yamaha and just meeting everyone. It's like, yeah, this person's been here for 20 years. This person's been here for 30 years. And like, you're seeing people that have been for 50 plus or like just now retiring, and they have such a long history of the company that everyone along those lines not only has that career, but also that passion behind it. And that's just what truly makes us a great team.
You get to do a lot of hunting trips too. We did the Yamaha Smash this year. I got to be a part of that. That was a lot of fun. Tell us a little bit about that. What is your favorite game as far as, chasing, when you're out there chasing game? And and using whether it's the R-Max or the Grizzly to bring that game back in. Tell us a little bit about where you're at there.
That's the cool thing about going out to Texas, that you just never know what game's going to come out for you. I mean, it could be anything from whitetail buck to Axis to Psycha or even just pigs. I mean, it's just pick of the litter kind of sometimes, but that doesn't mean that any of those hunts are going to be relatively easy either. And of course, when you're out hunting, you have a choice of handgun, crossbow, air bow, like everything in between. So it just makes it all more fun and exciting. But we've since been branching off in other areas like Kentucky and Oklahoma and even Kansas as well, just to show the diversity of the product and the different terrains and stuff like that you can take it to. And for me, it's like I just enjoy being out in nature. I mean, whether that's behind handlebars, behind a steering wheel, just out there having fun. And when you get to hunt or ride or race, you're just out there with buddies the entire time, just that camaraderie at camp or even back at the staging area, what have you. It's just, that's what it's all about. So it's like any way that I can go about doing it, I'm just having fun and having a good time. And so ideally, when I am loading up something in the back, it's a good prize that I can show off. And the cool thing too is that, I get to bring that meat home and get it mounted and be able to show it off. I think might be able to see it. I got blurred out, but even some mounts and stuff behind me. And yeah, it's a full circle type of deal, and definitely honored to be able to do it. And no one thing in particular that I can say I love the most, because it's all just so much fun.
It's all meat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. Joe, you want to transition to racing?
Why don't you kind of just lay it out? Like, what have you been doing this year racing Grizzlies all of a sudden? What's the motivation, and why did you bring us in?
Yeah, no, first of all, thank you guys for even being a part of that, but even more so, thanks to the audience for the views, the comments, and everything as well, because we do read all that stuff. We watch it. We definitely not only take it to heart, but even take it for feedback and everything. So keep all that stuff coming. Greatly appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, it's for this year, we definitely want to get more eyeballs on Grizzly, to say the least. And, like you said, we dominate with the YFZ stuff. Even we'll have a lot more exciting stuff in the GNCC series coming next year when it comes to YFZ as well. But I mean, Grizzly, we just always felt like it was that untapped potential of being able to showcase what the vehicle can really do. I mean, a lot of people have seen recreational riding stuff with, or even utility stuff with it, but it's like, well, hey, there's a whole other aspect of sport utility when you can go out there and you can enter into a grueling race like that. Not only that, but you can actually say, like, yeah, I raced the Ironman GNCC, I finished the Ironman GNCC, and I mean, you have a blast doing it on the Grizzly. And so when you can do that, showcase it, but even more so, it's like it's such a more cost-efficient ATV to be able to enter the class. I know there's some back and forth about that too. It's like, yeah, by the time you build it out, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, we have B&R Motorsports do ours, but even with that, like, we had stock suspension on it. And I know you guys are like, stock suspension, I don't know about that. But I mean, Jeff, Evan, like both of you guys, and Evan, I mean, he was like, wow, that was way better than I expected to be. I thought I was going to get beat to death, be worn out right away. But even as a relatively stock machine, if it was fully capable and no motor mods or anything like that. I think mine just had a pipe on it or something. And just being able to do that and show what all it is capable of, and having you guys experience that firsthand. I mean, we definitely want Grizzly awareness, and I always appreciate you guys sending those patents over to me so I know that they're out and get to see that stuff myself. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's just great to be able to show that stuff.
Yeah, I'll add that I faded before my suspension did.
Well, and now we got to add some aftermarket suspension on there, and then go for a round 2+ next year. I hope to do some more rounds, and definitely want to get you guys back on there, and especially as things continue to grow with this effort, even just with Grizzly overall. I mean, it'd just be cool to kind of watch the evolution of it.
Yeah,
and I think it was kind of surprising. I don't think that we thought stock suspension was necessarily going to be bad, because out of the box it doesn't bottom especially easy. You guys had taken some weight out of the bike. The racks came off, some other things. I don't think the bike gained any weight, but we know from out of the box, it rides well. It's not harsh. It doesn't bottom easily. Body roll is not excessive. I think the only thing that you might question in a race condition with stock shocks is, like, would they fade? Fortunately, it wasn't a 95-degree sweltering day. Temperatures were nice. I don't think we had any suspension issues. And Evan, who, oh boy, we're going to take some crap for this, but I don't care. Locally on a 450, when he's racing his YFZ 450R, he races at a very high level. I'm not going to totally throw myself under the bus, but we put him in the C class because it's like we're on a 47, 48 horsepower stock engine machine, a single cylinder going against 1 liter V twins mostly. And for those of you guys who don't know, a V twin of equal displacement, equal horsepower. Like, here's a perfect example. We had a King Quad 750 here. All the bikes in our 700 shootout, the Yamaha, the Can-Am, the Suzuki, make very similar horsepower. Also had a brute force 750 there. A couple of my riders came back after the shootout, coming back off the brute force, and went, wow, this thing is fast. Same horsepower, but it's a V twin. Twins build RPMs faster. Now, that didn't take anything away from the single cylinder machines, but it's different. The power might be the same, but the way it builds is quicker on a V twin. So, we entered our bike in the 4x4 C class because we were overgunned, and we didn't expect to even do well because they're all Can-Am 1000s. How are we going to do? We got 5 out of 27. Evan said next year when he does it, he's going to go to the B class and see how many people he can beat. But next year, we might not be racing twins.
We might be racing twins.
I was going to say, we might be this year. So.
Well, we might
back to the patent.
Back to the patent discussion. Yeah, we might be racing Yamaha twins next year, but I
think you got it right the first time. You might not be racing twins,
right? But then again, we've had discussion about going back and racing the Grizzly again. So part of your motivation with this wasn't to just bring awareness to Grizzly. You guys want a single cylinder 4x4 class. Like, you let us know when we get there, hey, we want to do a 4x4 single class. What was your motivation for that?
I mean, yeah, like you talked about earlier, I mean, there's one manufacturer that pretty much has the 4x4 class dominated. And it's like, well, man, there's still a huge untapped potential with those single cylinder 4x4 vehicles. You go back 4 or 5 years and there's, six figures of all manufacturers that have sold those vehicles. And it's just like that huge untapped potential of having that class of people that already own those ATVs. And like, they're a blast to take out on the trails, let alone on a track. I mean, I've raced Ironman on a YFC 450R before. And as I get up in age, man, like, that Grizzly gets more and more comfortable with me. I can get so much more lazy on it that, I just love it, to be out there on the track doing it. Like, you think about everyone else that has these competitive models that can just jump right in the class and have that same fun experience and not have to spend, 20, 30, 40 grand just to have something moderately competitive compared to everything else that's out there. It's like, it helps the industry as a whole and not just Yamaha. So who doesn't want to grow the industry or even the GNCC race series? Because you go to those races, you see what all the people are doing, that the manufacturers are doing, how much they're giving back, and how much they support those local communities and all throughout the East Coast. It's like, man, how could you not want to grow that,
A year ago, we shot a video of the Pro 4x4 champ, Cody Collier's Renegade 1000. And I said to him at that point in time, like, man, it stinks that there's not a 4x4 single cylinder class, because I'd watched the lights class. They tried a lights class, I don't know, 5, 8, 10 years ago. And all it became was the small bore twin cylinder class. It was like, okay, well, in that 50 horsepower range of those smaller displacements, the Can-Am V twin, the Renegade 570, because it's a twin. If you look at road racing, from what I've been told, I don't follow it a lot, but I have been told that in road racing, in some classes, the twins can run a different maximum displacement than the 4 cylinders. I don't know how all that breaks down, but it makes sense because different numbers of cylinders equals different types of RPM building, different types of power delivery. So I was mentioning to Cody, like, I wish we had a 4x4 single class, because just thinking about it, there's Yamaha, there's Honda, there's Can-Am, there's Suzuki. Those are all in the 700 segment. And then just below that in horsepower and displacement, you've got 570 Polarises that are still putting out 44 horsepower. So you're within 6 before you even touch it. And CF Moto has a 600. So there are 6 companies right now making ATVs that could compete in this class. And people will probably name 2 or 3 more in the comments that I missed that are smaller brands. You have 6 major brands that could compete in this class today. So I think it's great. And the fact that you guys are doing a single cylinder class makes it different. I did get a phone call. I meant to tell you about that. God, do I want to name names? I got a call from. I still like the guy. I'm not gonna trash him too hard.
Oh
I still
no,
like
I thought you were going somewhere else with this, but I know.
No. So I got a call from Kevin.
I've been hearing about this all week.
Yeah. So I got a call from Kevin Johnston. Kevin Johnston used to race for Arctic Cat. He raced for Kimco for a while. Nice guy. Calls me up and says, Joe, what are you doing? A 4x4 single class is never going to work. It's never going to work. Joe, you don't know what you're talking about. We talked to Yamaha about this back when they were racing, when we had the lights class, and they told us that Yamaha would never get involved. And the only way you'd ever make this class work is if Yamaha got involved, and they won't. They told us. I forget, who's the racing manager at Yamaha?
Donnie Luce.
Yes, he said he talked to Donnie Luce, and Donnie's like, yeah, we're never going to do it. We sell everyone we make. And I'm like, Kevin, Yamaha's completely behind this. Yamaha's the reason this is happening. Yamaha asked us if we'd come race. Yamaha are the ones that are politicking for this class. Oh, sounds like they're not selling as many Grizzlies as they used to, huh? Well, Joe, please tell me how you think this class is going to be less expensive than racing the twins, and forget the $600 or $6,000 price difference between the 4x4 singles and the twin. And I'm like, no, we're not going to forget 6,000 because that's shocks, wheels, and tires at the bare minimum that you can put into your single for the price difference, which is getting you a lot closer to race ready. And you're still going to do all that stuff to those $16,500 4x4s. Joe, you're an idiot. You've never raced. You don't know what you're talking about. I said, look, less horsepower, less weight equals less things are going to break when you start running into things. It's simple physics. You're not a racer. You have no idea what you're talking about. It got to the point where I'm like, I pretty much just said, screw you, and hung up the phone. I mean, we were yelling at each other. I'm like, why are you calling me on a Sunday screaming at me? He went off. I talked to Rick Checo about this. Rick Checo is a former 4x4 racer, Checo Motorsports. I respect him a lot. I respect Kevin. Kevin just came at me wrong. And, Rick's big take is, I want Yamaha to build a Raptor 250 again because the kids need something. It's still going to be expensive to build these things for this class. What's your take on all this, Scott? What Kevin's got to say and what Rick's got to say? I personally feel the big difference between what you're trying to do now and what they did back then is you're capping it at one cylinder. And I think that means it's not going to be a one-bike class.
Right. Yeah. That end, I mean, times change, so you can't sit there and try to have the same rules now compared to what they were 10, 15 years ago. I mean, regardless, things are going to evolve and things are going to change, and naturally manufacturers and race organizations and people are going to change along with it. So the better we can stay, on the same pulse with them, the better off we're all going to be. But there are more things coming, next year, especially when it comes to that whole Raptor 250 quandary as well, on other options, other classes that may be coming out, not from a product standpoint, from our standpoint, but other classes and everything like that in the works that could be a viable option, or at least another route to go there too. But when it comes to Grizzly sales, I mean, I literally was at the factory this morning, and I tell you what, there is no shortage of Grizzly sales right now. We are definitely selling them all. It was cool because if you check out my my Instagram and Facebook, right now I have a time lapse of me walking down the line during the lunch break, and it's just you can see Grizzlies as far on the corner, the whole entire pitch, whole entire line, and just to watch them being built, and crated up and sent out, it's an awesome thing to see when we have these vehicles and you can show what more that they can do, and again, just that untapped potential that you have with customers. It's not just to Yamaha's benefit. It's we want to have customers go out and be able to do these things too. And that's why it's not only Yamaha that fits this class. It's nearly every other manufacturer that fits this class. So why don't we want to be in support of that? I mean, we have ideally Blue Crew that'll support that behind it with contingency as well. But it's it's a no-brainer if you ask me.
And that was going to lead into some other questions. And I will tell you, I have talked to Can-Am about this class. And our same contact at Can-Am that's in your position is like, yeah, we want this class. This will be great. We love this idea. I mean, they're all about it. Suzuki has the King Quad. It would be in there. It could compete. I'm not saying which bike is best. I have personal feelings. We just did a shootout. I'll be honest with you. I haven't even looked at the lap times because we're going to go through the GoPro from the first frame that moves to that last little jolt when the front tires hit the ditch at the finish line. And that's how we're going to time them. I mean, we can do it to the frame of video, which will be the very most accurate way we could possibly check the times. I have a feeling it's going to be very close. I know from riding all the bikes personally myself, because after I went and filmed these guys and did all the testing, I went and rode all 4 bikes. Since I'm the editor, I have to put it together. So I have to be able to opine and put what they give me as far as score and notes and translate that into words. And, I rode the Honda. First, I rode the Suzuki, and I'm like, I like it. It's good. And then I rode the Honda, and I'm like, oh, it needs power steering. It needs horsepower. It needs a 5-speed transmission. It needs preload adjustable shocks. Yeah, it needs. I rode the Grizzly. I jumped on the Grizzly, and I'm like, oh, crap, this thing feels so light. Man, it's so good. And this is like in the first just 100 yards of riding the thing. And then, we had a big, long downhill with an off-camber left-hander, and I'm like, oh, yeah, let's get it. And separate brakes. They feel like sport quad brakes. So I'm charging this downhill. There's some big rolling up and down hills we were doing, and I'm like pumping the quad through it like I'm riding my mountain bike, and I'm like, this is so fun. Got on the Can-Am. I'm like, this thing's fast. The suspension's good. It's got a little less body roll than the Grizzly, although the Grizzly's very stable. It wasn't in no way an unstable machine, but I felt the weight of it. That was the one criticism I had of the Can-Am was like, okay, I feel like I'm riding a 1000 with less horsepower. Where like when I'm on the Grizzly, I feel like I'm riding a Raptor with 4-wheel drive. It's light. Yamaha's mass centralization on that unit. Number one, it is one of the 2 lightest bikes in the class. Number 2, the mass centralization is magic. And when I see these comments about Yamaha hasn't hardly changed that thing, it's like Yamaha doesn't need to. I'm telling you now, without even going through the scores, it's one of the top 2 bikes in the class's overall score. If I was going to race one of these bikes, that's the one I'd race. Other people might pick a different one. That's my pick. That's just
for GNCC, certainly, because you got that. It does feel lighter, and it has that shorter wheelbase, so it's easier to throw it around in the trees for sure.
Oh, yeah, Jeff,
we have go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jeff's ridden both these bikes I'm talking about. He might not have tested the King Quad in recent history, but you have an Outlander 700.
I do right now, yep.
And you've tested the Grizzly, so, I mean, am I off?
No. But essentially, the Can-Am is the same chassis, I believe, with, whether it's the 700 or the 1000R. You're talking about the same chassis there, whereas, yeah, the Grizzly is a lighter machine. And like I said, it has that shorter wheelbase for technical stuff, wiggling through trees and all that. It's just so much easier to throw it around.
Yeah, especially with our new power steering units on there too. It just makes it so much more lighter to steer, and especially on that long race, and it really gets to put kind of like a pencil to paper, like with our on-command 4-wheel drive. It's like, yeah, you can leave it in limited slip the entire time, throw it in a diff lock when you need it, take it out, or even like on those long descents with our ultramatic transmission. It's like, dude, you have that constant belt tension to where you're not freewheeling at all. Like it's just the perfect amount of hold back, and it just like literally is the best example of how to showcase all those things we have.
I think it's very true. I don't even think it's corporate hype, and like I said, it's going to be competitive. If you race a Grizzly, you're gonna be able to be competitive. If you race an Outlander 700, I think you could win on that. I think you could potentially win on a Suzuki if set up right. And then there's just all the smaller machines. Like if a guy's got an old Foreman 520, an old Foreman 500, an old Suzuki Eiger. I mean, if you've got an old single cylinder, if you've got a Rancher sitting in your barn or a Kodiak 450 in a single cylinder class, they're not going to blow your doors like they would in a class with 1000 V twins. So I saw
I think I saw at least one of every machine you just mentioned out there at the race last week.
Man,
Or a
pretty
couple
much
weeks ago
everything
too.
shows up at Ironman, no question about it. You see some stuff come out of the woodwork, and it's like, you're gonna race that thing? Holy moly, good for you!
But that's why this class needs to happen, I think. And
Yeah.
and also correct me if I'm wrong, because I know this is all kind of new. And Joe, you've been talking more about this, but we're talking about a class that's going to be affordable for everybody. It's going to be fairly limited, correct?
One thing that I heard, my GNCC mole, John Pellin, who, the guy who
ATV scene.
ATV scene, baby, was my start. Thank you, John. So yeah, he was in on the call, and it was kind of brief because there was some discussion. Carrie Joe's like, we don't want this to become a money pit class. We don't want people just boring and stroking and making these things maximum. Now, don't quote me on this. I'm quoting John on this, who's quoting her on this. So I'm third person in line, and everybody else, now you're going to be fourth. Carrie Joe was kind of saying she felt like the class needed to be capped at 722 cc's, which makes sense because the King Quad is the biggest displacement single cylinder ATV on the market at 722 cc's. So she was capping it for the King Quad. I've personally wondered, and not that anyone should listen to me, but maybe a little bit. I've kind of felt, because one gripe Kevin Johnston had when he was calling me wah, 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 and one thing even Rick Checo pointed out very calmly and intelligently, thank you, Rick, was that people find ways to cheat. And I'm like, just make it a stock pipe class. Maybe we don't even let them run aftermarket pipes. Maybe you run the stock pipe, you leave the airbox lid on. And while it might sound crazy, in the GNC Motocross series, I imagine this class still exists, but there was a 50 limited class. There was a little DRR 50 class, and the way they kept that class governed was you had to have your intake and your exhaust had to be stock. And the whole belief around that was if you keep it restricted externally, it doesn't matter what you go do to the inside of the motor, you're not going to get all the gains from it. The gains will be minimum if it's externally restricted, like restrictor plate racing. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Scott? How do they keep this class from just turning into, Grizzly showing up with $10,000 motors like the YFZs in the GNC series?
Yeah, and I think that's what I appreciate about Racer Productions, that they thoroughly hear us out. It's like, okay, they're not just like brushing off right away. Oh, no, we didn't need that, or we're already stacked as it is. It's like, okay, what's the reasoning behind it? How are we going to make it work, and what makes the most sense? And when they can realize, like, okay, yeah, we don't want this to be a money pit for people to be in this class to be competitive, and there is like so many vehicles that are out there now that would qualify, and it's not just Yamaha being selfish. We're not saying, it needs to be a 687cc cap, which means that, we're the only one in there. It's like, no, we want to have more competitors. That's why I get excited when I hear Checo's excited about it. And when even Can-Am is, like, when you get that support from other manufacturers too, like, that's awesome. But the more that we can work together on these things to grow the industry, to grow the racing series, that's all the better. So I know that Racer Production is going to do the right thing. We're kind of working with them as well to make sure that, we are checking all the boxes. Everyone's on the same page, and it doesn't become that way. So, they're going to do the right thing. We'll do the right thing. And even if it doesn't work, what's the harm? We're trying to do our part to keep this industry growing, to keep it strong. So that was one opportunity that we saw that benefits everyone. What's the harm in it? Everyone can rub it in my face and Yamaha's face after. But again, if we're still doing what we can to keep things as strong and as long as we can, then why not?
And I think it will work. I don't think it will fail. As long as they can figure out a way to keep it relatively affordable. The number of machines that there are out there, from what I heard, and I'm sure you've heard more than me, I've heard they're going to do one class to start this. I saw enough 4x4 singles at Ironman that there was a class. I saw a Can-Am 700 in the C class. I saw two old Scrambler 400s out there. Those things are going to do good in that class. I don't know if you guys are talking about, are you going to kick the two strokes out? Because you got a 400 two stroke in that class potentially. Might be hard to get parts, but
Right, yeah.
it's cool. It would be cool. It'll be a hodgepodge of vehicles, lots of different people racing lots of different things. So to bring it back to Yamaha, has there been any discussion internally at Yamaha for contingency? Because I think that's going to be one thing in really showing people like this, we're serious about this class. Like, we want it to do well. Has there been any discussion about contingency for Grizzly?
Yeah, actually working with Donnie on that. I mean, there's definitely going to be some fine tuning as we go along, not only with the contingency, but even just with the class as a whole. So we don't know what we don't know at this point, but we're going to do our best to make sure that it is successful and that we put our right foot forward to take those right steps. So there is work on getting some contingency for it.
Well, if you guys do it, it's likely others will do it. I know Can-Am offers contingency. I found out in the pro class. So that is one bit of support. They don't have any factory deals, but that is one bit of support that they're offering to the riders is contingency. So if you guys do it, they'll probably do it. And man, if you got multiple manufacturers offering contingency, it just shows this is a real class. Is there any possibility we'll see anybody directly racing for Yamaha in this class, or does that not happen in an amateur class?
I mean, I wouldn't say initially that we would have anyone official other than like me or someone else from the office and to come in, like see what it's like and all that. But on down the road, I mean, I can't neither can confirm nor deny those things. You just never know what the future holds.
Yeah, it's early.
Evan, get your resume ready.
There you go.
Hey, can we transition over to YFZ real quick and talk a little bit about that? Our readers at Dirt Wheels, we hear a lot of complaints that, and why they're complaining, I don't know, because YFZ 450R is the only game in town. But a lot of people say, well, it hasn't really changed, since 2014. There was some minor changes to it, but it really hasn't changed a whole lot since 2009. And they're like, why haven't they updated it? And we keep telling them, why would they update it when they're the only ones out there doing it, for the last 11 years? Everybody else went away by 2014. From a business standpoint, there's no competition. Why would you change anything? Changes cost a lot of money. You got to, do your development, give your cut to the government, let them do their testing and stuff and all that. But I know for a fact that nobody would like. I've talked to, like, I brought up Pat Biolsi earlier, an engineer with Yamaha, and one of the top guys as far as YFZ goes. Loves sport quads and everything. Nobody would rather see competition come into that segment more than Pat. He's told me this because then it allows them to unleash, all the big plans, all the things that are going on in their head, what they could do to, update the YFZ down the road. How do those guys, what's the discussion, when as far as the YFZ 450R, do they have things going on in their head that they would like to change on it or update it or,
at the end of the day, everyone loves to see, changes and stuff, and no one wants to see bold new graphics every single year, but it just comes down to dollars and cents of, we only have so much money to invest every single year in a select amount of products, and we have to put that to where, it does make the most sense. Make production changes to try to, bump up production to still continues to meet that demand because it's still growing more and more. But yeah, it's like, just speaking from my personal experience, when you are the only one that's out there doing the stuff and we're just crushing all across the board, it's like, how can you justify dumping more money into it when you're already dominating as it is? Trust me, I want to see a brand new YFZ 450R or whatever it would be called just as much as everyone else. And I know that a lot of our, Pat Biolsi mentioned, our testing manager, he would love to see it as well. And so many people at Yamaha would love to see it too. But from a business standpoint, it's like, does that make the most sense? I mean, that's just where it's tough because you have to kind of separate that, passion and the business aspect of it. It's like, yeah, it's not a smart business decision at this point. Am I going to say it's never going to happen? No, I mean, I would love to see that, ideally sooner than later. But, I know that it's definitely in the forefront of everyone's minds of oh, yeah, I would love to do this. I'd love to do that. But just a matter of when, hopefully, and not just if.
Yeah, I think that was a discussion I had with Pat was nobody would like to see Honda or Suzuki or whatever jump back into that segment more than Pat, the engineers at Yamaha, because they got all this stuff going on in their head, ways that they could make things more exciting. Not that the YFZ isn't exciting as it is. I have a YFZ 450R and it's more a machine than I can handle as it is. But yeah, And we tell everybody too, Yamaha, they sell every people say that the segment is dead, but I know you guys sell every YFZ.
It's dead for everyone else because they're out of the market, but it's not dead for us.
Every Raptor. Yeah, exactly.
It's like the one thing you don't see rebates on are YFZ 450Rs and Raptors. You can find a rebate on almost every model in every class, 2 wheels, 4 wheels. I mean, I'm seeing 450 dirt bikes. I haven't seen a blue one at this price, but I'm seeing different colored 450 2025 selling out the door for like $69.99, which is crazy. You don't see rebates on YFZs and Raptors, but since we got a guy from Yamaha on the show, I'll turn into bad cop. Let's talk about this clutch, Scott. Let's talk about the clutch. Now, I understand that Yamaha to put the dirt bike engine in the quad is going to cost a ton of money. Just people don't understand at home. It's not as simple as you take the new dirt bike engine, you slap it in the current chassis, and now you're using the same motor across the lineup. It's not that simple. With green sticker, the frame would have to be re-engineered. You'd have to do a ton of product testing. But there is a belief through racing, and Jeff and I can't quantify this because neither of us has blown up a clutch, but because these guys at the GNC Nationals are taking these bikes and building them into 60 horsepower plus machines that are on the ragged edge of grenading. And that's their choice. That's not how they come from the factory. At that point, they're definitely finding the slipper clutch that was released back in, I think, 14 or 15, to be a weak link in the chain once they build to that level. And whether it's necessity or perception, you've got a lot of just regular guys that are doing big 3 bolt-ons, programmer intake and exhaust, and they're like, it's not big 3, it's 4. I've got to turn this thing back into an older clutch setup. What's Yamaha's take on this? You guys know how many of these things fail from the average guy who buys them. And it seems like if it was that big a deal, Yamaha would go back, and the average guy, because we see so many comments and they're like, well, Yamaha doesn't want to admit they screwed up. What's Yamaha's stance on it?
And if there was a problem, then we wouldn't be selling every last one either, because then you'd see just roached YFZs all over the place, But, there is that misnomer, if you will, that, if you get a YFZ, then you got to do this to it because the clutch is going to go blow up or grenade. But, I mean, you said it yourself. It's like these guys are building these things to max capacity, essentially. And once you start doing those changes, those modifications, it's like there's going to be something you have to keep on, bolstering up and changing. But in stock form, the thing is awesome. It's proven off-roads like to say it is bulletproof. We do everything we possibly can. Pat Bielsi to go out there and test it and then run it as hard as they possibly can. So we definitely do our part of it. But anything that's aftermarket that's modified after that, I mean, you just never know. But even more so, it's like you're having these racers that are building these things, to the fullest extent of, maximizing every last little bit of, every part of that vehicle. And so, if there is something that does happen that may have happened a couple of times, all of a sudden it's pervasive all the way throughout. You got to change him. It's like Pete Hager when he came out to our ride out in Oregon, and it was the first time he rode a stock YFZ 450R. He's always had one. It's like he gets it right away, immediately throws in a tuner and an exhaust pipe on it. That was the first time I heard stock. I was like, dude, it's way more like powerful and capable than I thought. It's like, yeah, man, but there's that idea out there that when you get it, you have to make those changes to it. It's not the case.
And that's true because everybody says, and the big thing that me and Pete talked about after that, because I'd send Pete Hager out. He played test rider for us a few years ago at that intro. I said, did you really think it was boggy? Because everybody talks about Yama bog, and that happens more when you pull the airbox lid. And he's like, because you guys rode him there with stock pipes and the airbox lid on. And he said, no, it really wasn't bad. I mean, it was very, very minor. And everybody has to understand, all the manufacturers at this point are under such scrutiny from the federal government to make these things cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. Yamaha is not building them to do it. It's kind of like the result of what they're having to do to have that high performance engine at that level of tune and have it be clean. There might be a little bit of sputter here and there off bottom, but like he said, when the airbox slid on the stock pipe, wasn't a problem.
Yeah, and the nice thing too is, man, I will definitely say that we have an awesome warranty team to where they know the numbers, they see the stuff coming in. Is if there is something consistent on any one of our models that is happening, like they're on it right away. They send out a team to figure out what happened. They'll diagnose it, go all the way back to even like suppliers to see what changed, what happened. So they do every last little thing that they possibly can to not only figure out what happened and change it and fix it for the better, but also make sure that the customer is happy too. And it's I know that there's probably going to be some upset people out there like, oh, yeah, but Yamaha screwed me and they did that. And it's like, well, dude, call us. Let us know. Like, we genuinely want to help you. If something happened between you, the dealer, what have you, it's like, please let us know because we don't want to leave you high and dry. We're not just like, okay, you got your vehicle now and now you're off on your own. It's like, no, we want to make sure that you are happy and taken care of too. I'm not saying that we're going to pay for everything, but either way, like just let us know what happened. Let us know what's going on because we want to do the right thing. We want to keep you out riding. And yeah, even if that means, okay, I'm just done with it. I want to go back to another brand. As long as you're still riding, it's a bummer for us at Yamaha, but we still want to keep you in this industry. We still want to keep you riding and having a good time.
Fair enough. Jeff,
Yeah.
What do you have?
I just got one more question. We probably talked about this before. You brought up Raptor 250, Scott. So
this is I think technically Joe did, and I just echoed what he said. Don't put that on me.
I loved that quad, and I remember when it went away, we were told that there was a vendor issue. Is there any? Can you expand on that? It wasn't a sales issue or anything,
or was it?
Or was
no.
it? Yeah.
No, I was actually district manager at the time that everything happened there. So I don't know the full details and extent of it, but yeah, trust me, I had one as well. Actually, my wife had a Raptor 250, the special edition. She loved the thing. I loved the thing, but it was so much fun to be on. And yeah, it was a bummer and it went away. And I'm still kicking myself for selling my Raptor 250 because the thing was a gem. But I was up in Pennsylvania, ended up selling it while I was the district manager up there. And of course, that's like the backyard of GNCC's, racers. And yeah, they clamored for that thing. It's like, if I would have known then what I know now, I probably could have sold that for 10 times the price. Not saying that I would have, but man, that thing was just, it was awesome and total blast.
Yeah. So whether it's Works or GNCC, we still see them all over the place and people are looking for them, in decent shape. And yeah, they're going to run out of that parts and stuff here pretty soon. But, It was a fantastic machine, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but yeah, it's sad to see that one go. Would love to see it come back.
I'll put you on the spot.
Bad cop again.
Oh, here we go. Joe's going to bring up the Warrior now.
I owned one.
Oh, I'm right.
I should have. Yeah. That was a different time, though. We won't go there. But the Raptor 250 is kind of becoming, this is a touchy subject. This is touchy, and I know you don't advocate for this, and I'm not asking you to. The race series, that was a 16 and up bike. And I heard stories from dealers about guy would bring in his 12 or 13-year-old, want to buy him a Raptor 250. As soon as he said it, out the door you go. I can't sell this to you today. This is not a Yamaha deal. This is a government problem. If you're a parent, you can do what you want. Yamaha won't tell you you should, neither will we. The racing organizations, I believe intelligently, my personal opinion, because this is America and we're still allowed to kind of do what we want. Racing series will allow like 12 and 13-year-olds to race those bikes. Now, Yamaha doesn't advocate for that or sponsor anyone, but for these youth racers that fit that bike anatomically very well, it's a good fit for them. They can steer the bike. They don't look tiny on the bike, like if they were on a Raptor 700. So I guess what I'm saying is like, was the age thing the fact that bike appealed to a young demographic and Yamaha couldn't sell it to a young demographic? Was that a factor? Was that an issue? Is that discussion in bringing it back or not bringing it back?
Yeah, I mean, the age is definitely something that was a factor to say the least. But, we have the CSPC, we have the guidelines we need to abide by. That continues today with our Grizzly 110 and our Raptor 110 and our YFC 50 that, that's what the government says. And so we abide by that. We want to make sure that we can still continue to sell those vehicles to the appropriate age and appropriate size. And, they even have secret shoppers that go to dealers to make sure that they're doing the same exact thing and saying, okay, yes, you want to make sure that it's your appropriate age and size and everything as well. So it Raptor 125, that was a great model as well. And then the age kind of like, I think that was a tough sell, if you will, pun intended, for some people there too, just with the age that it fit and as well as the Raptor 250. But that doesn't mean that we didn't sell them to those older, because my wife definitely wasn't, 16 years and under when I was married to her at the time, and still now, obviously. But it's like she still has just as much fun. So it's not to say that it wasn't like a youth only model, because there was still a huge market out there of people that were still able to ride it that were 16 years and up.
Oh, we loved it. I mean, the press event by the Queen Mary in Long Beach. Yeah. Oh man, that was the best press event ever. The two best press events I think I've been to was the fairgrounds in Long Beach next to the Queen Mary, next to the bay there. Here's like the city in the background. It's like something you'd see on a video game. Like you wouldn't ever actually get to do it in real life. And we did. And like all these grown dudes on these little Raptor 250s, like stuffing each other in corners, like, and you could hear all the guys just, I'm here filming it, and I could just hear these guys just laughing under their helmets because they were having such a great time.
Idiot.
It's such a huge gap in the market, and it's a shame that Yamaha won't bring that unit back or something equivalent to it, because there's the Honda TRX 250X does not fill the gap left behind by the Raptor 250. And I guess my last question would be just to kind of retouch on the 4x4 thing, something you and I have discussed. Boy, and you really won't be able to opine on it. I'll just say that with the 4x4 single class coming, and we haven't had, before the Wolverine was a side-by-side, the Wolverine was an ATV. I think, man, if we could go buy a Grizzly 700 off the showroom floor that's comes with some reinforced wheels and some 25-inch tires, and maybe not Elka Stage 5 or B&R built Fox Springers, but something at least the equivalent of what comes on Raptor 700, that's got a little bit, maybe not quite that adjustable, but something with some adjustability and some reservoirs. I mean, it's like a sport version of the Grizzly seems like just an affordable, neat option to go into Yamaha's lineup. Maybe I'm crazy. Like the old Wolverine 450 and 350 from the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, we'll say that the future for Yamaha is very bright. There's no question about that. And I think that the more that y'all bring up, the opportunities, and even like with your video that you did where you guys came out to the race, I mean, no joke, that definitely helped showcase to Racer Productions that it's not just Yamaha that wants this stuff. Between you saying it in the video, Evan saying it, Jeff saying it, and then you look at all the comments, you read all the comments too, and you see the amount of views in such a short time frame. It's like, yes, there is a demand for it. There is a need out there. So if we can say those same things on some models as well, I mean, it's not too late to even turn the ship on other opportunities we have here in the future. The product planning guys are always going out there. They're listening. They're doing the reading on all the comments and stuff as well, including do all the customer surveys. So not to say it's not going to happen, but the one thing I will say too is that obviously there's also a price point that everyone needs to hit. So that's always the other big thing is, yeah, we can put everything that you want on this vehicle and more, but there's also going to be a price that you need to pay at the end of the day. I mean, it's just, how it comes to it, going back to the business aspect of it. But trust me, I'd love to have all the bells and whistles on every model we have. But then when I go look at the MSRP and some of that stuff, it's like, all right, yep. When I see the target customer, they're out of my not only income range, but my age range there too. So that vehicle is just not for me.
Well, I think it's good that Yamaha still makes a number of affordable vehicles. You look at some of the other manufacturers, and they're so focused on the high end of the 4x4 ATV segment, and way worse than that, the high end of the side-by-side segment. Yamaha is doing a very good job, I think, at this point of delivering a good line of quality off-road products at a price that's, approachable to a lot of people.
You almost made me talk about side-by-sides there, by the way.
Sorry, don't do that.
But the great thing too is that, like I said, I was at the factory today after the Grizzlies were on the line. Next up are Raptor 700s. But the best part of it is that those things are going to the world. It's not just here in the States. We get to share that with the world, and they're getting that same vehicle there too. So it's awesome to see and know that all that stuff was built down here in the States and in Georgia, and everyone across the globe's getting to ride them.
Yeah, you guys talked about that. If you get a Raptor in New Zealand, it was made in Georgia.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot of exporting going on there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's our entire ATV lineup, except for like the youth models, Grizzly 110 and then the YFC 50 and stuff like that. Those are elsewhere, but otherwise everything big bore and full size ATV, if you will. That's all for the world.
Yeah, even the YFZ, people hear assembled in Georgia, but it's actually completely manufactured. Other than the engines are shipped over from Japan, and we all know that Japanese tolerances are way better than anybody else's. So yeah, that's the way we
leverage their technology on that stuff. But yeah, otherwise, engines dropped right in. But it's funny because the people I was with out there today to show them the factory, we say assembly USA. We go through the entire process and so these things are actually built here. Well, yeah, again, according to our logos and the verbiage and everything, yes, Assembly USA, but, you do the math here. You tell me what it is, because, we're building frames, and we're welding it, we're painting it, we're making the plastics, so much stuff we do in the factory. It's not just we're not just taking Lego pieces and putting together. We're even making most of those Lego pieces, too, to build these vehicles to send out there.
Yep, and Joe and I were there, a year or two ago, and can verify.
For 20, I think it was last year, 20th anniversary of YFZ.
Yeah, so we saw them being manufactured, painted, assembled, welded. We saw the whole works.
And this year is the 20th anniversary of the Raptor 700. That's very cool. I mean, it's timeless. It's just as good today as it was year one. Again, no competition, no need to change it. There's a ton of stuff you can do with the aftermarket with it. And yeah, I love that bike. Favorite ATV? Ain't lying.
Indeed. Heck yeah.
Well, Scott, it's been a pleasure. Jeff, do you have anything else for Scott before we let him go?
No,
I'm sure his kid wants to see him.
No, we'll definitely have Scott on again in the future when, the new patent stuff comes to fruition.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun, a surprise there. Just you guys pull up the latest patents, and I can oh my goodness, what is that? You guys tell me.
Yeah, well, you go check out.
Yeah, whatever.
You can go check out dirtwheelsmag.com, Scott, and we'll fill you in on everything that's going on at Yamaha.
I check those patents every Tuesday and Thursday.
I learned vicariously through y'all.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Scott, it's been a pleasure as always, and I think I'm looking forward to seeing you here in next month. I think you're coming out to Arizona, aren't you? Yeah. So
for the steering wheel products, exactly.
Yeah, that we don't talk about on this show because people get upset. So
I only talk about the steering wheel products when I'm wearing my leather hot pants.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all I got, Joe. We'll let Scott get back to work.
No worries, man. I appreciate you guys. I mean, I could talk to you guys forever because, like I said, it's nice to have both business relationship and actual true friendship. So, yeah, you guys are awesome. And anytime you want me on, hopefully the audience and everything enjoyed it as well. Because if not, then you don't need to have me on again. And we'll just keep this conversation offline.
I'm sure it'll be one of our best episodes so far. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, if they have questions for next time, then let's hear them and, try to answer some of those. It'll be fun.
We'll start making a list.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Scott, thanks for coming. We'll talk to you soon. Guys.
That'll be great.
Somebody's about to get grilled on the rev limiter. We'll be back in a second. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. It's time for my favorite segment. If you hear this sound, you're on the rev limiter. Somebody did something dumb. Hey, so if you're on the rev limiter and you're going hard around the track, the last thing you want to do is taco a wheel. And that brings us to our sponsor for the rev limiter, RWI Wheels. Jeff, you run these wheels. You seem very happy with them. Why don't you tell us about them?
I am very happy with them. RWI makes a great wheel for sport quads and racers. They are built from 6061 T6 aircraft grade aluminum. You can get the fronts in a rolled edge or a beadlock, and then the rears are also coming in a beadlock. Get them a 9-inch wheel, 8-inch wheel. Whether you race GNCC or motocross, they have different race packages. But don't take my word for it because I'm slow. But they do have some racers that are already out there running them. I know Logan Huff out here in the Work Series. He races these wheels, has been very happy with them. I talked to Logan about that a few times. Over in Pro ATV MX Riders, Max Lindquist is running them. Mason Jackson and Zach Decker are all RWI wheel sponsored racers. I've had really good luck with these wheels. One of the things I really like about these wheels is they are drilled for 2 different bolt patterns. So whether you ride, a new YFZ 450R or a Raptor, or say you're one of the older machines, TRX 450R or KFX 450, LTR 450, these wheels will fit universally. For me, it's great because I have a YFZ 450R that I race, but I also have a TRX 250R vintage machine that I'm building. I can swap my wheels back and forth. I can swap my paddles between, if I'm going to the dunes. Just a really good product. Had great luck with them. I really like the beadlock wheels. If you like to swap out your tires yourself, the beadlocks are so much easier to mount tires onto. You're not, white knuckling the thing so much. It's easier just to get the tire up over that beadlock side of the wheel, put your beadlock on there, air it up, and you're done. But anyway,
so if you're a racer, I was going to say, if you're a racer or you're an adventure rider, if you're getting way out in the bush and you get a flat, you got to make sure you get back. So, beadlocks aren't just for racers. They are for the guys who like big adventure ride days too. So
yeah,
look them up.
Yeah, whether you're riding in the mud or whether you're riding in the sand or at the track, rwimotorsports.com. Check out the site. They have, like I said, they have different wheel packages for motocross racers and XC racers and just you recreational guys that want to, just make your machine look great. rwimotorsports.com. Check it out yourself. And let's get into the rev limiter.
Yeah, so usually in this segment, Jeff and I are trolling people who have trolled us in the comments of Facebook and YouTube, and we have a lot of fun beating you guys up. But today, we're going to be nice, a little nicer than normal, but we're beating up Honda. Sorry, Honda.
It's time.
You've had it coming. I've done it to you personally in face to face, and you're not listening to me, so. Here's a little backstory for you guys that don't know. A few weeks ago, Honda put up a post on the TRX 250X, their only remaining sport-ish ATV. I don't know if we call it a sport quad or not exactly. It doesn't have a chain drive. It's got a shaft drive. We've had this discussion with Honda numerous times about why don't they bring back a 450R? Why don't they bring back a 400EX? And Honda swears, and this is the most frustrating thing, is Honda swears there's just no interest. So, with 400 comments on this post, where Honda was just trying to sell their little 250X, I think I read half of the comments the other night. I found one comment saying that they like the TRX 250X. One comment. The rest was all telling people what they want to see. Jeff, let's tell Honda what people want.
Yeah, and we'll just say that is just one post on their thing. We hear about it at Dirt Wheels constantly. Where is the Honda? Come on, Dirt. Hey, Dirt Wheels doesn't build these machines. so lay off of us. We're doing what we can to get somebody to get back into the segment besides Yamaha. But anyway, we'll talk about some of the comments that came up on this post from Honda, and this happens a lot too, and we love this stuff when it happens. In fact, we usually share these things over at Dirt Wheels and then tell our readers to have at it, go let Honda know how you feel, and it always works.
Oh, they do.
So
you're not shy.
Yeah, let's dig into it. I'm going to share the screen here. Some of these comments. We'll start off with Rossier Engineering. Their comment was, it's like Honda lives in a parallel universe where the 250X is the sport quad that every recreational or racer wants. Here on Earth, we all want the TRX and the 450R back. And obviously, yeah, we agree with that. 400EXs machines. In fact, we were just talking about GNCC racing. How many 400EXs did we see out there? running that race. Great race.
Considering they haven't made it in 10 years and it's not even a 450R.
It's been more than 10 years now. Yeah.
Oh, 12 years. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Time's going fast. I'm old.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still a bunch of them out there. And it's funny, if you looked at that last post, below Rossier Engineering was a post from Chris Borning from DBR, who is another aftermarket company. Rossier Engineering builds some great pipes. They've got a 400EX pipe out. Check it out. And DBR's got some new stuff coming for the 400EX as well, believe it or not. 12 years later, he's going to make some new cool parts for it. Anyway, who's next?
Let's see, I got Michael Goad on here. Says a fuel injected 450R for crying out loud, and just because you can, TRX 250R 2-stroke, just do it. And yeah, preaching to the choir here. We completely agree.
I would like both, the 250R more, but I would happily settle for a new 4-stroke from Big Red. We're not against you, Honda. We're not we're not beating you up like we do the other people in the comments. We're on your we're on the side of you bringing these things out.
Yeah, especially that those guys that are still racing Baja. They're still doing it on 12-year-old machines, the TRX 450Rs. Those guys are running out of parts. They need some parts and new machines to actually keep that series going.
Yeah, obviously the Honda still has something on the Yamaha because they're still racing it in Baja. So who's next?
Let's see. David Hart says beautiful color combo. He's talking about the red, white, and blue on the TRX 250X. Beautiful color combo. Now, if you just start making the 450R or the 400EX in that color combo, because I'd gladly hand over the cash for a new one. Matt Borjal, I can't even say that name, but let's make a real 250 Sport Quad and a CRF 250R dirt bike engine and a 452. It's just more of the same here. We just want those big Sport Quads back.
I get it. I don't think you're ever going to see a 250 4-stroke from a major manufacturer. It would literally only cost $1,500 to $2,000 less than the 450. And while some racer kids would buy them, when you see a 250 and a 450 sitting next to each other on the sales floor, everybody's going to buy the 450. Yeah. You're never going to see a 250 high performance 4-stroke from a major OEM. From a company like KO or Kobe, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Brad Morrison, once you've mastered the sport clutch and want something more aggressive, you can switch to a Yamaha.
Mic drop.
Yeah. What are you doing? You're setting these guys, setting these younger racers up with these machines, and what are they going to go to from there?
I gotta say, that's one of my very favorite comments in this series that we took of 400 comments.
Yeah, and there's more in the same thing. A new 450R 400EX would be more fun. Yeah, totally agree. I mean, what else needs to be said? We'll just let these guys speak. Joseph Morgan, this is funny. Day number 5,631 of asking, give us a new 450 Sport Quad.
Honda, look at the dedication. I mean, this guy's got it down to the day. How long it's been.
Yeah,
I didn't verify that his number is accurate. I'm going to take his word for it. But
yeah, well, that's a lot of days, no matter what. Yeah, that's years he's talking about there. Drew Ferry was the next in line. Said, "Isn't that just a recon?" And he's talking about the TRX 250R or 250X. And yeah, it is basically a recon with sport plastic
and a tiny bit more suspension travel.
Yeah. Moving on, Jason Jackson. This is what the people really want. CRF power with a fuel injection, wider stance, tons of money to be made. All they have to do is build it. Love this machine. Yeah, Jason has a CRF hybrid machine that he's built. We're seeing more and more of those too.
Yeah, it's like the early 2000s when the dirt bikes 4-strokes, the high performance 4-strokes were just coming out, and they were like sticking Z400s in Lager chassis and YZ400s in Lager chassis, Corey Ellis. And yeah, I mean, there's a great example of it. He's got a video in Honda's comments if anybody wants to go check it out of his bike. And when you talk to somebody who builds one of these CRF 450 powered hybrids, they're just like, the power is so good stock.
Yeah.
It revs so fast. People are blown away with how well that motor really runs.
Incredibly responsive. Yeah, I mean, if there's no market for it, here these guys are building their own.
Right.
Fine. And they're throwing way more money at it. Some of these guys are buying whole dirt bikes just to pull the engine out of them.
Right.
And
then they clap the motor out. They clap the motor out. Then they put it back in the dirt bike and sell the dirt bike with a brand new everything clapped out motor.
Yeah. Moving on, Nick Janusa piped in on this one too. I thought that was really funny, but
that's cool.
Pro Racer, anyone smart who works at Honda would take a look at this comment section, seeing a serious demand to bring the 450R back. The comments need to be shown to people way higher up in the ladder to see the demand. We all know it goes deeper than this comment section too. 450, 400EX, literally any Honda sport quad, bring it back, and people will buy them again. Not even a Honda guy anymore, but would be again if they brought back sport quads. That's from Nick Janusa. Yeah, top.
I think it was Rick Checo I talked to about this, and he was saying, because he was trying to demand another manufacturer bring back another machine, but I'm sure he'd love to see Honda's come back as well. And he says he thinks the big problem with these manufacturers is they have no DNA. Like, they have no DNA.
Yeah.
Like, there's all kinds of people at these manufacturers that were into dirt bikes, that are into the money from side by sides. But, and then you go to companies like go to Arctic Cat, which is back, and go to Ski-Doo, snowmobiles. These people have DNA in these sports. Who works at an OEM other than Yamaha, who has a history in the sport quad segment, who would cheerlead for bringing them back? If you don't have anybody at these manufacturers that even want a sport quad, it's going to be hard to get one. Anyway, I'm being wordy. Let's go.
It says, I don't think this is the one you want, but it is funny. Sean Patrick said, bring back the Odyssey FL350 and 400. Yeah, bring back the Pilot. I think those are cooler than today's side-by-sides myself. But anyway,
I think a Pilot with some four-wheel drive, maybe?
That would be cool. Yeah. Eli Madero, former editor for ATV Rider.
We know this guy.
We know this guy. Eli said, we know you have it. Probably one of the worst kept secrets of the last decade. Bring out that EFI Sport Quad. They don't just have one. I think they have two prototypes. One was an aluminum frame and one was a steel frame for both EFI 450Rs from Honda. We know they exist.
We know they exist. Yeah, Eli. Good point.
I heard a story, actually. It was at the 2014, I think it was the 2015 dealer meeting. They actually had one of these bikes behind the stage. They were getting ready to open the door, and it came right up to that last second. Should we show it or should we not? And that's when they canceled the program right there. They had it ready to show the dealers, the public, and everything, and they canceled it at literally the last second. And nothing since then.
Can you imagine how much money Honda would have made? Here, Honda, now you're going to get it. Can you imagine how much money they would have made if they would have dropped that thing into the market in 2015? You were rolling, not trying to get political, guys, but things started going good in the economy around 2016, 2017. When the Trump year started, term one, the economy went well. And then all of a sudden came COVID and everything selling over retail. Honda would have made money on this hand over fist. You screwed up. Next.
Yep. Nathan Myers, you've been letting Yamaha eat your lunch since 2014. If they can put out a 450 and a 700 with bold new graphics every year, why can't Honda? A new 400EX would be great, give it enough power to be fun, but simple and cheap enough to be affordable, and everyone would buy one. Heck, if they came out with a 450R at 15 grand, I'd go get one. I'm not going to sell my YFZ, but a new Honda, whether it's affordable or whether it's a little more than a YFZ 450R, they're going to do well.
I agree.
Yeah. Let's keep rolling through these. There's some good stuff coming up here. Ran Babuik. I don't know how to say.
Well, he did it. I didn't.
Damn Honda motorcycles and ATVs. Look at all the sales begging to be made in just this single comment section right now. Make it happen. Yeah, the comment section was just bombed with people asking for 450Rs and 250Rs, 400EXs, and even 300EXs.
Right. Sorry if we butchered your name, but I think this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, sorry about that. My fault. Moving on. This is from Chase Osborne. 2 problems. One, that's a 250EX. The 87 250X is the only one I'd want to buy. Yeah, who remembers the old 250X? I mean, you could actually race that machine. We saw those machines being raced in Blackwater.
Oh, yeah. In Blackwater, there was a 250 Pro 4-stroke class in GNC motocross. John Pellin still has pictures on his hard drive of guys in like 87, 88 racing those things at the National Motocross Series with stock suspension.
Chase goes on to say, bring back the 450R. Just take a CRF 450R motor, change the gearing, and put it in a new frame. Come on, Honda. You know, that would be nice, but man, at this point, I'd be happy with the old carbureted 450R. You know, right below that, 2-stroke, please. Yep, 250R would kill it. You know, how about a 300, a 310R? Matt Kanga. This is the last comment we're going to talk about. Yeah, so this guy,
today. For you guys who may or may not know who Matt Kanga is, this guy's worth giving a little bit of an intro. Matt Kanga is like the Evel Knievel of ATVing. Him and his son, I think they do stunt riding. Matt Kanga was featured in a number of Huevos movies. And even if you've never seen Huevos, which is hard to believe if you're an ATV guy, you should watch them all. You've probably seen this guy on TV. He tried to jump a steamship with a quad and clipped the top of the steamship as he was jumping it and plummeted like four or 5 stories into the water of this river on the other side of the boat. So this man has no fear, so I would just do whatever he says. What's he saying?
He's got as much titanium as Travis Pastrana, I believe. So Matt, he's out of Australia too, so that's why he had the nickname the Kangaroo Kid back in the day. You know, all of us old guys know who Matt is. Matt said, I want to see the secret pictures of the prototype TRX 450R with the alloy frame from, I think, 2011. The patents came out around 2008, and this was supposed to be the next generation 450R. I know people who worked on it. If you know, you know. It would have been a game changer. It's not too late. Those in the know, like me, know that ATV sales outnumbered two-wheeled sales something like 5-1. I think that's dirt bikes. There was a time when ATVs outnumbered all motorcycle sales, and there's no reason why that can't return today. I mean, even if you got a fraction of that, there's your market right there.
Well, imagine if you could only sell as many sport ATVs as you sell dirt bikes. There are 10 manufacturers making 6 to God knows how many. Like I couldn't even name every KTM that they make. So if you could just sell as many sport quads as you could sell dirt bikes, I mean, there's one manufacturer in the game, and certainly there's room for another 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's all I got on the comments. I mean, but with this, we pulled this out of 400 comments, you know, and they were all the same. Everybody wants the 450R back, the 400EX, the 250R. The market is there. And every once in a while, we'll get a reader on Dirt Wheels that will reply that there is no market for sport quads. Our guest, what we just had on today, Scott Newby from Yamaha. Yamaha is very happy being the only ones making the 450 right now. And like we said, they sell every one they made. Joe and I were at the factory, saw a long line of YFZ 450Rs being manufactured. And that was just the special edition models. This was back when the gray and orange special edition. It was a couple of years ago. Same thing is going on today. And there was a line of Raptors right behind that to being manufactured. Don't tell us that there's no market for sport quads, because we know different. We know better. Right. We hear about it every day over at Dirt Wheels. And Joe, I know you get it over at ATV On Demand in the comments. At this point, there's something else to it. For whatever reason, Honda just does not want to come back. Man, they could kill it if they did. I'm happy with my YFZ 450R. At this point, I give up. I'm tired of talking about it.
I think certainly
Buy a
nobody.
Yamaha.
Yeah, buy a Yamaha, especially when Honda won't give you a unit. And if any manufacturer were to come back to the sport ATV market, no one would make as much noise and sell as many units as Honda. With their reputation and their legacy, Honda would outsell anyone who could jump back into the game, I think, at this point. Although there's definitely room for others to come back, and that's why you've got companies like KO that are going to come out with an entry-level machine to kind of fill that role of the Raptor 250, hopefully. And, if Honda, if you don't come back and take this market, China is going to take it from you. And I'm not rooting for China, but I'm rooting for my sport. So if you really don't want the market, they're going to take it. And that's all up to you. And with that, that's it for the rev limiter. Let's get into the last lap. All right, guys, the checker flag's in sight. It's time to cruising on in for the final lap. Jeff, I think this was maybe our best episode so far.
Yeah, a lot of good news coming down the pipe. Love finally getting Scott Newby from Yamaha on here, sharing some of the information and talking about some of the GNCC stuff that's going to happen. Looking forward to that new 4x4 single class. I think that's going to be huge.
I think it's going to go really well. If you've got, it's like Evan said in our video, if you got a piece of land, you probably got a single cylinder ATV sitting in the barn. If you want to chase the series or there's a GNCC coming, to a town near you, go out and give it a try. This class, Yamaha helped build this class for you guys with the GNCCs. And thanks to the Coombs for, giving us a shot and watching the video and listening to Yamaha and making it happen. It's very cool. And I'm definitely not saying that I'll take the credit for making it happen. I'm just glad that ATV On Demand got to put a brick in that wall. That's cool.
Yep. Very cool. What you got going on here in the next couple of weeks between now and the next episode?
Well, just dropped our GNCC race video from Ironman we were talking about with Scott. You guys might want to check that out. We did a 700cc 4x4 shootout between Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Can-Am. We have already dropped the test. We tested the Yamaha probably 6, 8, 9 months ago. Love that thing. Just dropped a King Quad 750 test. Next up will be the Honda, and the Honda Rubicon 700 test should be out around the time you see this video. After that, we'll have a East Coast test of the Outlander 700, and we think in January we should have the shootout out. We don't know who's going to win, but somebody is, and there's really no losers in the class. So I think for the right guy, any one of those bikes is a good choice. Maybe some more than others. What do you got coming up?
Right now, we're finishing up our annual buyer's guide for 2026 model side-by-sides and ATVs. But the December issue is on newsstands now. And look at that, all ATVs on the cover. You guys act like it never happens.
You guys that are trolling poor Jeff, let me handle it. If you guys are trolling poor Jeff saying that Dirt Wheels is just a side-by-side publication, you suck. Maybe you should read it and then you'd know.
Yeah. We've never had an issue that's all side-by-sides, at least not in the last 3 years. And I'm pretty sure before that, we are still an ATV publication. Joe and I love ATVs. I make no bones about it. I prefer handlebars. Nothing against the side-by-side crowd. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
No.
So anyway, back to this issue. Of course, the electric Outlander, I know some of you are booing and hissing already. It's actually pretty cool. Got to ride that up in Wyoming and came home with some sore shoulders, man. The acceleration of this thing is intense. But below that, 2026 Yamaha lineup, got a Raptor down there. We talk a little bit about that. And do you see this right here? I'm having a hard time doing this on screen, but that is my test ride of the Kahana KM500R 500cc two-stroke sport quad. We talk a little bit about that in the new issue. And there's a whole bunch of other ATV content in there too. So that's pretty much all I've got.
I've got it here. That's a great issue.
Yeah.
I definitely, if I didn't subscribe like a smart guy, I'd probably be running to Barnes and Noble or my whatever local bookstore I can find and pick one up.
Yep. That's the December issue. January issue, which comes out before our buyer's guide. We got more great stuff too. We got a big feature on Tori Matisich, who is the one of the best women's racers on the West Coast, races a YFZ 450R. We did a little bit on her and her new YFC in that issue. We also talked to Jason Zittel, who listens to the show. Jason
and was on our show. He joined us earlier.
Yep, that's right. Duh.
We know that guy.
We do. I got to ride the hybrid CRF Honda that they rode in, like we were talking about earlier. Those hybrid motors, man, those dirt bike motor quads, they are a whole different level of machine, even compared to the TRX 450R, the YFZ. Yeah, those dirt bike engines are the bomb. So
yeah, and I guess we both have a test coming pretty soon for those of you guys who are looking for something really affordable to get into for a younger person in your family. 16 and up, of course, is mandated by the federal government. We'll be testing, both of us, the Denago Daytona 250. It's a little American company that's leveraging some manufacturing over in Asia, over in China, to bring ATVs to the U.S. market at a reasonable price. So for $2,700, $2,699, I don't know what you're going to find better. It's not a bad little bike for the money. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it, but for the money?
By the way, I beat you to the punch.
Oh crap.
It's in the December issue. And I used my wife as a test rider on that. She liked it. So,
right? She probably rode faster than me.
Yeah, she probably rode faster than both of us. She is competitive.
Right on. Well, I will not challenge her. I've picked up the phone and she's given me the wherewithal. So it's all in fun, but yeah, no wonder you always have those bruises on you when you show up at press events.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, guys, I think that's it. Is that it?
That's it. Till next time.
Well, till next time, hopefully sooner rather than later. We'll be back with a bunch more ATV news, information, a special guest, and hopefully we gave you your fill of four-wheelers for the day, and we will be back soon.
See you next time.